Chapter 3908. Gu Fei's power broke through the extreme breaking realm once again. This shocked old ancestor Tian Xie and Yi Qing Tian, especially Yi Qing Tian, who seemed to be able to break through to the extreme breaking realm at any time. How was this possible? Even for existences like them, breaking through to the extreme breaking realm would consume a large amount of primordial qi. In order to obtain powerful combat power, one had to pay a certain price. The more powerful the combat power, the greater the price one had to pay. The extreme breaking realm was the strongest known realm. Even people like Yi Qing Tian and old ancestor Tian Xie could not break through the extreme breaking realm at any time. At this time, Gu Fei broke through the extreme breaking realm again and entered the extreme breaking realm. Then, he directly punched twice, and the extreme breaking fist force that could crush everything arrived. Without any suspense, Yi Qing Tian and old monster Tian Xie were directly smashed into a cloud of blood mist by Gu Fei's punch. They were stronger than the High Lord. If they left the Lost Lands and went to the ancestral realm, they would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the strongest existence in the ancestral realm. However, at this time, they were directly smashed by Gu Fei's fist. This was the gap between them. No matter how powerful one's divine power was, or how powerful the myriad Tao's power was, in the face of absolute power, they could not withstand a single blow. Roar! With an angry roar, Yi Qingtian's figure once again appeared in the void. He had recovered in an instant and reformed his physical body. Myriad Tao is one. Kill, kill, kill. Yi Qingtian was going all out. The power of the myriad Tao gathered crazily on his hands and intertwined with each other. His combat power was almost infinite. Clang! Yi Qingtian waved his hands and rays of divine light rushed out from his hands. As if they had turned into peerless heavenly swords, they slashed at Gu Fei. At this moment, Yi Qingtian also broke through to the extreme breaking realm. Gu Fei waved his hand and directly shattered the shocking sword light that was slashing at him. Then, he charged at Yi Qingtian. At this time, old monster Tian Xie also recovered. Blood stains the heavens. Old monster Tian Xie unleashed his killer move. Boundless blood light erupted from his body, instantly dyeing the entire world red. The strange bloody light immediately enveloped Gu Fei. The void shrouded by the bloody light was silently annihilated. Boom! A figure broke through the bloody light and instantly appeared in front of old monster Tian Xie. What? Heavenly diabolism was taken aback. He immediately retreated, trying to distance himself from Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei did not chase after him. Instead, he threw a punch at old monster Tian Xie. His fist instantly broke through the restraints of space and time and smashed into old monster Tian Xie's body. Before old monster Tian Xie could finish his thought, his body was once again smashed by Gu Fei's punch. The power of the extreme breaking realm could crush everything. Even old monster Tian Xie, who was stronger than a supremacy, could not withstand this power. Of course, although Gu Fei could suppress the evil old monster in terms of strength, it wasn't easy for him to kill the evil old monster. Just as Gu Fei was about to attack again and completely destroy old monster Tian Xie's spiritual soul, Yi Qing Tian charged at him. Boundless sword light descended from the sky like a sword rain, falling towards Gu Fei. In the next moment, Gu Fei's body shook and a ball of divine light immediately spread out from his body. All the sword light that pierced through him was blocked by the ball of divine light. Peerless sword. Without hesitation, Gu Fei directly displayed the peerless sword principle that he had comprehended. An immortal sword light rushed out from his body and directly broke through Yi Qingtian's sword light. Then, it strangled Yi Qingtian. Swish! The sword light instantly destroyed the power of the myriad Tao. It flashed across Yi Qingtian's body and directly cut him into two. However, Yi Qingtian was one with the heavenly Tao. Even though he was cut by Gu Fei's sword, he did not seem to suffer much damage. Yi Qingtian's body that was cut into two joined back together. Very soon, Yi Qingtian's injured body was healed. Boom! The power of the myriad Tao once again exploded from Yi Qingtian's body, shaking the heavens. At this moment, all the experts who were watching the battle nearby were indescribably shocked. These guys had the power to destroy heaven and earth with just a wave of their hands. To ordinary supremacies, this was absolutely fatal. The three supreme experts fought without rest. Everywhere they passed, be it the mountains or the lakes, everything was destroyed. The Lost Lands was actually a world that transcended the ancestral realm. At this moment, the entire Lost Lands was in turmoil. All the living beings were extremely terrified. This part of the world was incomplete to begin with, and there were unknown dangers everywhere. After being shaken by the power of Gu Fei, Tianxia, and Yiqing Tian, the entire Lost Lands actually showed signs of collapsing. This shocked the experts who were hiding here. We can't let these three continue fighting. At the peak of the Divine Mountain, the mysterious palace lord who had just walked out of the divine hall of the Emperor's Star Battle Palace was muttering to himself. Behind him stood Violet Spirit and Bai Ling. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace dominated the world with algebra. It was mysterious and unfathomable. It was said that everything in the world had a fixed number. Everything could be traced and could be deduced from the past and the future. However, there were still some unimaginable taboos in this world that were difficult to deduce. Even the palace lord of the Emperor's Star Battle Palace could not deduce them. Violet Spirit and Bai Ling were a little excited. Was their master going to make a move? Although they were the successors of the Emperor's Star Battle Palace, they had never seen their master in action before. This was because the palace lord's master would often go into seclusion. Sometimes, he would go into seclusion for thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years. Moreover, the Emperor's Star Battle Palace's divine arts did not specialize in fighting. The people of the Emperor's Star Battle Palace were unparalleled in their ability to seek fortune and avoid calamity, but they were not good at fighting. Boom! At this time, there was a loud noise as a violent force exploded. The three figures separated, but then they rushed together again. Gu Fei was fighting 1 against 2, but he was still at ease. From time to time, he broke through his limits and entered the invincible breaking limit realm. He beat Tianxia and Yiqing Tian until they couldn't fight back. Yiqing Tian and Tianxia had been beaten badly by Gu Fei, but they didn't care about their vitality. They wanted to break through to the breaking limit realm and fight Gu Fei endlessly. Yiqing Tian was one with the heavenly path, so it was not difficult for him to break through to the breaking limit realm. It was the same for old monster Tianxia. There was something wrong with his corporeal body. Half of his corporeal body had already become an eternal body. This kind of physique was much stronger than an extreme path Dao body. Even Gu Fei didn't know how this guy managed to cultivate his fleshly body to such a degree. However, under Gu Fei's fists, these half-step eternal realm existences were nothing to him. Fellow Taoists, can you stop and listen to me? The Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master sent a voice transmission to Gu Fei and the others. What? Gu Fei, Yiqing Tian, and Tianxia were a little surprised. This guy actually wanted to mediate? The Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master was not simple. It was very likely that he was the third half-step eternal existence in the Lost Land, besides Yiqing Tian and Tianxia. People said that the Emperor's Star Battle Palace was just a group of warlocks, but now it seemed that the Emperor's Star Battle Palace was not simple. Why should we listen to you? Gu Fei said. You all have something to ask of me. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master suddenly said. This, Gu Fei couldn't help but be surprised when he heard this. Even Yiqing Tian and Tianxia were stunned. The three figures directly separated and stood in the void. You know we have something to ask of you? Tianxia stared at the figure on the peak of the Divine Mountain. His blood-red pupils shrank. Of course I know. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master's voice continued to ring in the hearts of Gu Fei and the others. Then do you think I can take that step? Tianxia stared at the Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master, his face extremely solemn. No. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace's palace master said these two words. You can't? Why not? Old monster Tianxia said unhappily. This is fate. I can't explain it, the Emperor's Star Battle Palace master said. He could only divine the result. Hee, what about me? Yiqing Tian said with a smile. I can't divine it. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace master was very direct. What? Yi Qingtian was speechless. He couldn't divine it? How was this possible? What about him? Yi Qingtian pointed at Gu Fei. I can't divine it. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master said the same thing. When Gu Fei heard this, his heart skipped a beat. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master couldn't divine it? What should he do? The reason he had entered the Lost Land was to find the Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master to divine his past and future. But now it seemed that he had come for nothing. My 3 friends, please enter the Divine Hall for a while. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master spoke very calmly. His blurry figure was like a wisp of smoke that could be blown away by the wind at any time. Swoosh! Just as Tianxie and Yi Qingtian were hesitating, Gu Fei took a step forward and appeared on the peak of the Divine Mountain, facing the Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master. Tianxie and Yi Qingtian looked at each other and disappeared. The next moment, they appeared on the peak of the Divine Mountain. Please, the Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master said, and led the way to the Divine Hall. The Divine Hall had been built by the first Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master. It had been blessed by more than a dozen palace masters and constantly refined. The entire Divine Hall had become a supreme treasure. As long as the Divine Hall was not destroyed, the Emperor's Star Battle Palace's inheritance would not be severed. Violet Spirit and Bai Ling were extremely excited to see the 3 supreme experts. They were definitely the strongest existences in the primogenitor's realm. The Emperor's Star Battle Palace Master led the way and walked directly into the Divine Hall. Gu Fei didn't hesitate and also walked in. Chapter 3909. The Divine Hall of the Ziwei Battle Palace had existed for countless years. After the blessing of successive palace masters, countless Tao patterns appeared and intertwined on the pitch-black body of the palace. The moment Gu Fei stepped into the Divine Hall, he felt that it was unusual. However, after entering the Divine Hall, Gu Fei's eyes lit up. He saw that the Divine Hall was filled with specks of starlight. It was as if he was walking in a starry sky. All of this seemed illusory, but Gu Fei felt that it was somewhat real. Was there a universe inside the Divine Hall of the Ziwei Battle Palace? Even old freak Tianxie and Yi Qingtian were shocked by the scene in the shrine. There was the aura of heaven and earth inside the Divine Hall. The Ziwei Battle Palace is really generous. Old monster Tianxie laughed. Palace Master Ziwei did not speak. She walked forward and sat on the throne in the center of the Divine Hall. Fellow Taoists, please sit. Palace Master Ziwei said with a wave of her hand. Cut the crap. What do you want? Yi Qingtian stared at Palace Master Ziwei. No one dared to underestimate the Ziwei Battle Palace in the Lost Land. All the experts in the Lost Land kept a respectful distance from it. However, there were also people who tried every possible way to find people from the Ziwei Battle Palace to divine the past and future for them in order to avoid calamity. However, fate was difficult to change. Even if one knew in advance, misfortune could not be avoided. Of course, there were also people who used great perseverance and wisdom to change their fate. They overcame fate and transcended everything to become the strongest existence. However, such people were few and far between. It should be known that even saints could not escape fate. They were bound by heaven and earth. The ones who truly transcended heaven and earth were paragons. In other words, only by becoming a paragon could one overcome fate. One's fate was in their own hands. However, even paragons would fall one day. There seemed to be no one who truly transcended everything in this universe. You all want to transcend, but you can't. Palace Master Ziwei glanced at Yi Qingtian and said lightly, "TCH, do you think you can transcend?" Yi Qingtian said disdainfully, "If Palace Mistress Ziwei could transcend, why would she even bother talking to them? She could kill him with a single slap." The closer he got to that realm, the more reverence Yi Qingtian felt. That realm was simply too powerful. I can't transcend, but I can show you a bright path. Palace Master Ziwei continued. What? When Palace Master Ziwei said this, not only Celestial Diabolical and Yi Qingtian, but even Gu Fei was moved. What bright path? Old monster Tianxie hurriedly said, the primogenitor's realm might be the origin of the myriad worlds, the beginning of the world. However, Who knows if there are other worlds like the primogenitor's realm? Palace Master Ziwei pondered for a moment and said, "You mean?" Yi Qingtian looked at Palace Master Ziwei in shock. He actually had the same question. Perhaps there was a greater world above the primogenitor's realm. The myriad heavens and myriad worlds started with the primogenitor's realm. What did the primogenitor's realm start with? Gu Fei, who had been silent all this time, suddenly muttered to himself, "Brother Gu is indeed worthy of being an extreme legend that only appears once in a million years. He actually sees more clearly than us antiques who have lived for countless years." Palace Master Ziwei looked at Gu Fei. "You know me?" Gu Fei was a little surprised. It should be said that Ziwei Battle Palace was located in the depths of the starry sky. It was isolated from the rest of the world. Although he was famous in the primogenitor's realm, the people of Ziwei Battle Palace should not know who he was. "You defeated 9 Supremes in one battle, trampled Old Monster Chu, punched Li Changtian, and are almost invincible in the southern region of the primogenitor's realm. Your name has probably already spread throughout the cultivation world of the primogenitor's realm." Palace Master Ziwei said with a smile. "What?" Violet Spirit and Bai Ling, who were standing next to Palace Master Ziwei, were shocked when they heard their master's words. Was this guy really that powerful? The two girls looked at Gu Fei with stars in their eyes. "It's hard for people not to know you," Palace Master Ziwei said. At this time, Old Monster Tianxie and Yi Qingtian realized that the guy who had fought with them for a long time had such a powerful battle record. Was this guy really an extreme legend? "What do you mean by the path?" Gu Fei calmly looked at Palace Lord Ziwei and said. Everyone knew how to say such things. At his level of cultivation, he naturally pursued transcendence. However, theory was theory after all. It was not a concrete method. What they needed now was how to do it. That was the key. "The path is in Supreme Tomb," Palace Master Ziwei said. "What?" Gu Fei and the others couldn't help but be shocked when they heard this. Supreme Tomb? That was a dangerous place in the primogenitor's realm. Even Supremes would die there. Why was this dangerous place called Supreme Tomb? That was because there were too many Supremes buried there. It was the burial ground of Supremes, and it was many times more dangerous than the Lost Land. Quasi-Supremes entering Supreme Tomb was completely courting death. Even Supremes would have to kneel there, let alone Quasi-Supremes. "You want to trick us?" Old Monster Tianxie roared at Palace Master Ziwei. Even as strong as they were still afraid of Supreme Tomb. "It's up to you whether you believe it or not," Palace Master Ziwei said indifferently. "Supreme Tomb is so big. How can we find the path?" Yi Qingtian frowned. Supreme Tomb was incomparably vast. Chapter 39:10. In the Lost Land, a battle beyond the level of a great lord had been resolved by the Palace Lord of Ziwei Battle Palace. This left everyone dumbfounded and in disbelief. Just as Palace Lord Ziwei breathed a sigh of relief, Gu Fei suddenly returned. This made the two maids, Violet Spirit and Bai Ling, very nervous. Even Palace Lord Ziwei was surprised. When Gu Fei stated the purpose of his visit, Palace Lord Ziwei was even more surprised. An existence like Gu Fei was already invincible in the world, but he did not know who his parents were. Palace Lord Ziwei did not refuse. He directly took out something that even Gu Fei would be jealous of. It was the mysterious reincarnation plate of creation. Countless years ago, the ancient Buddha of the human realm had tried to refine the 6 paths of reincarnation to establish reincarnation and control life and death, but in the end, he failed. One of the 6 paths that the ancient Buddha had opened up was refined by Gu Fei and became one of his inner worlds. Ziwei Battle Palace actually had the reincarnation plate of creation. No wonder it was known to be able to deduce the past and the future. Gu Fei bit the tip of his finger and dripped a drop of blood onto the reincarnation plate of creation. In the next moment, this drop of blood was swallowed by the reincarnation plate of creation. In the next moment, a scene appeared on the reincarnation plate of creation. It was Gu Fei's life. Those scenes were rewinding, and soon, he saw the scene of himself becoming a supreme being. Then, it was the scene of him coming to the ancestral realm. Gu Fei had experienced too much. After half an hour, he saw the scene of himself cultivating in the Taishan sect, and then the scene of his master, Wan Xianqing, bringing him back to the Taishan sect. However, just as Gu Fei was nervously staring at the reincarnation plate of creation, the scene that emerged from it suddenly disappeared. The scene of him being brought back to the Taishan sect by his master, Wan Xianqing, did not appear. This shocked him. How could this be? Even Palace Lord Ziwei was shocked. Even the creation reincarnation disc could not divine the first half of Gu Fei's life. Such a thing rarely happened. Obviously, someone had erased Gu Fei's childhood memories. Fellow Taoist Gu, forgive me for being powerless. Palace Master Ziwei shook her head. Even the creation reincarnation disc could not divine what had happened to Gu Fei when he was young. Who in the primogenitor realm could divine everything for Gu Fei? Having no other choice, Gu Fei bade his farewell. This time around, he did not turn around. He found the Star Beast and the Shooting Sun Supreme in the Lost Land. Then, he left the Lost Land and headed for the southern region of the primogenitor realm. Gu Fei rode on the Star Beast and moved quickly in the starry sky. Several hours later, he rushed out of the ancient starry sky and used major teleportation to appear in the sky above the southern region of the primogenitor realm. Where are those two fellows? Gu Fei's spiritual force instantly enveloped a radius of hundreds of millions of miles. However, he couldn't find old freak Tian Xie and Yi Qing Tian. Did they really enter the Supreme Tomb? Gu Fei found it hard to believe. The Supreme Tomb was definitely the most dangerous place. Even Supremes could die if they entered. However, in order to achieve complete transcendence and become an invincible existence, Tian Xie and Yi Qing Tian did not hesitate to enter the Supreme Tomb to find the so-called path. With a thought, Gu Fei appeared outside the entrance of the Supreme Tomb with the Star Beast and the Shooting Sun Supreme. Not a single person could be seen outside the entrance of the Supreme Tomb. You guys stay here and guard. After saying that, Gu Fei disappeared into the void before the Shooting Sun Supreme could say anything. He had escaped in an instant. At this time, Gu Fei's return had shaken the entire cultivation world of the southern region. The previously arrogantly clan was now terrified. They had no choice but to be terrified. Was Gu Fei a pushover? The Chu clan was also cautious and restrained themselves. Meanwhile, Old Monster Chu was recuperating in seclusion in the basement of the Chu clan. Old Monster Chu had suffered serious injuries during the battle with Gu Fei. It would not be easy for him to recover to his peak state. In the depths of the Thunder Clan's ancestral land, a huge dragon rushed out of the ground. Billions of lightning bolts were emitted from the dragon, tearing the sky and earth apart. This is on a huge mountain floating above the Thunder Lake. All the experts who witnessed this scene were extremely shocked. This was the execution of the Thunder Dragon. Of all times. At this time, both the sky and the ground were filled with lightning bolts. Tribulation thunder descended, and the entire void ahead was shrouded in lightning. This type of connate life form was extremely powerful. It could compete with immortal-level experts as soon as it was born. And now, the power displayed by this Thunder Dragon was definitely enough to tear a Saint apart. Even a quasi-supreme might not be a match for this Thunder Dragon. Roar! The Thunder Dragon roared at the sky, bathed in billions of lightning bolts and fire. Its extremely violent aura spread in all directions. The beast's tribulation had alarmed many people nearby. Just as the Thunder Dragon was undergoing tribulation, a figure descended from the sky and landed on the Thunder Lake Sacred Mountain. Greetings, Master. The Thunder Tao Supreme and the others hurriedly knelt down when they saw the person. It was Gu Fei. Get up. Gu Fei waved his hand and said, yes. Only then did Sovereign Lightning and the others stand up from the ground. Gu Fei's gaze then fell on the Thunder Dragon. The scales on the Thunder Dragon had fallen off from the lightning bolts. It was covered in blood, and some parts were even charred. The Thunder Dragon was in danger, but no one on the sacred mountain made a move. This was the Thunder Dragon's tribulation. Once it survived, the Thunder Dragon would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a quasi-supreme. Gu Fei watched this scene, but he had no intention of making a move. Soon, the Thunder Dragon was destroyed in body and soul by the lightning bolts. Its body turned into ashes, leaving nothing behind. Just as Gu Fei returned to the Thunder Lake, the celestial race's emissary came. This emissary brought something that even Gu Fei was moved by. It was a letter of challenge. The celestial race's patriarch challenged Gu Fei to a duel at the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. When this news spread, the entire southern domain, and even the entire ancestral realm, was in an uproar. The celestial race's patriarch is finally going to make a move. Gu Fei's limelight is too strong. It's time for someone to step up and suppress him. Who is the stronger of these two experts? Countless cultivators were discussing Gu Fei's duel. 3 days later, the duel at the Nine Heavens Imperial Court was already a foregone conclusion. The celestial race's patriarch actually challenged Master? The Supremes under Gu Fei were indescribably shocked. This duel was definitely an unprecedented one, attracting the attention of all cultivators. Chapter 39:11. As soon as Gu Fei returned to the ancestral realm's Thunder Lake, the clan leader of the Celestial Clan sent a messenger to deliver a challenge. This shocked everyone. Is the Celestial Clan planning to use this opportunity to come out? The clan leader of the Celestial Clan is still alive. Gu Fei, this legend, looks like he's going to be out of luck. Once the news of the Tian clan's old clan master challenging Gu Fei spread, it shook the entire primogeniture realm. Almost everyone was talking about it. One should know that of the two main characters, one was a newly ascended supremacy, recently risen legend who was invincible in the entire southern domain. Both Old Monster Chu and Li Changtian lost to Gu Fei. Gu Fei was considered the strongest supremacy in the entire southern domain. However, before this, the strongest supremacy was the clan leader of the Celestial Clan. The clan leader of the Celestial Clan had been in seclusion for too long. Nowadays, no one knew his name or remembered his deeds. Time can dilute everything, but the clan leader of the Celestial Clan was still publicly recognized as the strongest supremacy in the entire southern domain. Even Li Changtian and Old Monster Chu felt inferior. Of course, this didn't mean that Li Changtian and Old Monster Chu were afraid of the clan leader. Although the Tian clan's old clan master was stronger than Li Changtian and Old Monster Chu, he couldn't kill them. They had never fought against existences of this level before. In these 3 days, Gu Fei didn't go anywhere. Instead, countless cultivators came to the Thunder Lake. Some of them were Gu Fei's followers. Others came because of his fame and wanted to join Gu Fei's side. Of course, there were also some who came to watch the show. Old Ancestor Ingtian brought a few ancestors with him, but they couldn't see Gu Fei because he had already entered the Thunder Clan's ancestral ground in the depths of the Lightning Lake. Without Gu Fei's summons, no one was allowed to disturb him. The Shooting Sun Supremacy, the Thunder Dao Supremacy, and the other supremacies were standing guard outside. Inside, there was a gigantic beast that was even taller than a mountain lying there, dozing off. The air that came out of the beast's mouth and nose formed a strong gale in the air, blowing away the clouds on the horizon. That mad Taoist was here as well. This guy directly charged into the depths of the Thunder Marsh. Even the Shooting Sun Paragon, the Thunder Dao Paragon, and the other Paragons couldn't stop him. This guy was no joke when he was drunk. However, when Mad Taoist saw the gigantic beast that was bigger than a mountain lying in front of him, he immediately sobered up. Star Beast? Or an adult? Mad Taoist shuddered and turned to leave. What a joke. This was an adult astral beast. Its battle prowess was comparable to that of a High Lord. Moreover, its fleshly body was extremely strong. Even the strongest extreme Dao treasure would not be able to harm this fellow. The gigantic figure of the astral beast was faintly discernible in the dusky Thunder Marsh. Around this gigantic beast, there seemed to be a star field faintly discernible. Powerful fluctuations of star power spread out. Even supremacies would feel their hearts palpitate. An adult astral beast was even bigger than a star. At this time, this astral beast had already shrunk its body. Otherwise, the entire Thunder Marsh would not be able to contain this gigantic beast. Wind and clouds gathered in the southern region. In the entire ancestral realm, experts who received the news all rushed towards the southern region. The battle between Gu Fei and the Sky Clan's patriarch was definitely the most eye-catching battle in history. In an instant, almost half of the ancestral realm's cultivation world's experts had gathered in the southern region. Even some reclusive supremacies leapt out and reappeared in the eyes of the world. That's the West Pole Temple's Buddhist Lord Midu. Didn't he perish in the previous era? So it was just a rumor. Someone saw a skinny, dark-skinned monk in a tattered kasaya, standing on a lotus throne that was on the verge of shattering. He was a bald monk who appeared to be a bag of bones and wore a tattered kasaya. The West Pole Temple was a major force in the ancestral realm's western region. Buddhist Lord Midu was one of the strongest existences in the western region since ancient times. There were also people who saw the figure of the East Sword Sovereign appearing near the Thunder Clan's ancestral ground in the Thunder Marsh. Experts from the southern region gathered, and everyone was waiting. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye for cultivators. On the third day, Gu Fei walked out of the Thunder Marsh ancestral ground. Master, the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others had been waiting outside. When they saw Gu Fei, they hurriedly went forward and bowed, not daring to be negligent. Gu Fei didn't say anything. He directly soared into the sky and disappeared into the starry sky in an instant. The location of this battle was a strange place in the ancestral realm. The Nine Heavens Imperial Court was a huge ruin above the Nine Heavens. Some people said that it was the relic of the ancestral realm's ancient heavenly court. Of course, this was only a legend. Why isn't he here yet? Did Gu Fei become a coward? Above the Nine Heavens, in the endless ruins, cultivators stood everywhere. These cultivators all exuded the aura of the divine path. One should know that the Nine Heavens Imperial Court was above the Nine Heavens. Only sage-level experts could enter the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. Cultivators below the sage level could not even find the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. The Sky Clan's patriarch is not here yet, someone said. Whoosh! At this moment, a beam of God light descended from the sky and landed on the ruins. A figure appeared. This person was dressed in white and had white hair and a youthful face. There was no aura coming from him. This person looked like an ordinary person who had reached the realm of returning to one's natural state. The Sky Clan's patriarch had arrived. At this time, everyone was extremely nervous. The Sky Clan's patriarch was definitely one of the strongest existences in the ancestral realm's cultivation world. However, Gu Fei was not someone to be trifled with. Time passed. 2 hours passed, and Gu Fei still did not appear. 4 hours passed. Many people who were waiting to watch the show were getting annoyed. Gu Fei is really a coward. He actually doesn't dare to come? Someone said disdainfully. What bullsh *T extreme Tao legend? It seems like he is someone with an undeserved reputation. Above the Nine Heavens Imperial Court, many experts were mocking Gu Fei. Many people did not think highly of Gu Fei. One should know that the Sky Clan's patriarch was an old supremacy. No one knew the Sky Clan's patriarch's strength, but no one doubted him. Gu Fei is only a... I think he has long been scared out of his wits by the Sky Clan's patriarch. The Chu clan and the Li clan were discrediting Gu Fei. Boom. At this moment, a loud sound rang out. The void trembled. A figure directly split the void and appeared in front of the Sky Clan's patriarch. You are finally here. The Sky Clan's patriarch looked at Gu Fei indifferently. A light flashed in the depths of his eyes. You want to borrow my strength to break through? Chapter 39:12. The most dazzling battle of this era was about to begin. Above the Nine Heavens Imperial Court, 2 figures stood proudly. In the next moment, 2 shocking auras directly erupted from the bodies of Gu Fei and the Celestial Clan leader. Gu Fei revolved his mysterious technique. A faint layer of divine light of the Great Path was circulating on his exposed skin. The aura of the Celestial Clan leader was also constantly rising. The energy waves that rushed out from his body caused the surrounding void to tremble. Little fellow, today, I will let you see what invincible power is. The Celestial Clan leader looked at Gu Fei indifferently. Tisk! Gu Fei secretly shook his head. How could invincible power be so easy to grasp? At this moment, all the spectators were nervously watching the 2 figures, especially the fellows from the Li clan and the Chu clan. The members of the Celestial Clan were confident in the Celestial Clan leader. In their opinion, Gu Fei was definitely not a match for the Celestial Clan leader. Die! The old clan master of the Tian clan suddenly roared in anger and directly punched towards Gu Fei. But what surprised everyone was that his punch was very slow, and it was slowly punched out. Although the speed was slow, the power of the celestial clan leader's punch continued to rise as his fist moved forward. Halfway through the punch, the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court began to shake. When Gu Fei saw this punch, his pupils involuntarily constricted. In his eyes, this punch was like a world crushing down on him. Although the punch of the celestial clan leader was slow, Gu Fei was unable to dodge it. The supreme beings who saw this punch were all shocked. This punch of the celestial clan leader was incredible. It seemed ordinary, but it transcended all battle techniques, all divine abilities, and all magical arts. This punch was absolutely invincible. The celestial clan leader was able to unleash such a punch. This was the result of his countless years of battle experience and his own Tao. Even the supreme martial artists who were watching the battle from the side were unable to describe this punch. The entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court seemed like it was going to collapse. The Nine Heavens Imperial Court was the legendary battlefield of the Supremes. Even though it looked like a pile of ruins, it was incomparably stable. Ordinary Supremes wouldn't be able to shake this place at all. This was also the reason why this place could exist for so long. Good heavens! Gu Fei couldn't help but admire him, because even he was unable to unleash such a punch. This punch was already enough to prove that the Tian clan's old lord was stronger than Li Changtian and Old Monster Chu. 10 Daos is 1. Gu Fei didn't dare to be careless. He immediately manifested 10 different types of perfect power of the great path that rushed out from his body. Then, they gathered and intertwined on his right hand. The power of the 10 great Daos collided with each other, and the energy fluctuations that erupted immediately multiplied. Rumble. Gu Fei struck out with his fist, and the power of 10 as one also shook the Nine Heavens Imperial Court, which made the saints and supreme beings watching the battle inexplicably shocked. I'm afraid that these two aren't far from transcending. In the distant sky, a tanned and skinny monk wearing a tattered kasaya said with his palms together, "That punch from the Tian clan's old monster is no longer within the scope of the extreme path." A supreme being said, "That Gu Fei isn't bad either. He actually cultivated 10 perfect great Das. His title of extreme path legend isn't just for show." Someone said, "Boom." At this moment, Gu Fei's fist fiercely smashed onto the Tian clan's old lord's fist. A loud explosion erupted, and the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court shook violently. The vast and mighty power directly caused cracks to appear in the surrounding void. The broken bricks and tiles on the ground instantly turned to dust. The earth shook, and dust flew everywhere. A large circular pit appeared in the ruins. 2 figures were directly sent flying. Seeing this scene, everyone was incomparably shocked. This Gu Fei actually blocked the Tian clan's old lord's punch. It was truly unbelievable. The power of that punch was definitely enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Even a supreme being in the mystic realm would not be able to block this punch. They would be directly destroyed in body and soul. How is this possible? The Li clan's third elder arrived. He was dumbfounded when he saw this scene. As for the Li clan's second ancestor, his expression was solemn. Swoosh. At this moment, the 2 figures rushed together, and a super great battle erupted. Whether it was Gu Fei or the Tian clan's old lord, their cultivation had already reached the end. If they wanted to take another step forward, they would need to transcend. They would need to transcend all restraints of the world. The Tian clan's old lord wanted to borrow Gu Fei's hand to allow himself to transcend and take that final step. This veteran supreme being attacked with all his might. All sorts of mystiques, secret techniques, and battle techniques were displayed from his hands. Every one of them had terrifying power that could split the heavens and earth and destroy everything. However, compared to the Tian clan's old lord, Gu Fei's attacks were much simpler and more direct. No matter how many mystiques you had, or how invincible your battle techniques were, I only needed one punch to break them. Moreover, each punch of Gu Fei's was fiercer than the previous one. This made the Tian clan's old lord extremely depressed. Their movement speed was extremely fast. Even sages could not capture their figures. Only supreme beings could track their movements. Master, the Shooting Sun Supreme Being and the others were extremely nervous. Because once Gu Fei was defeated, then the territory that they had painstakingly snatched back would become the territory of others. Master is invincible. The Black Wind Supreme Being, who was standing at the side, said indifferently. Humph, invincible? What a joke. Let me ask you, in this ancestral realm, who dares to call themselves invincible? Suddenly, a voice came from the side. Everyone turned around and saw that the person who spoke was the Li clan's third ancestor. Are you itching for a beating? The Thunder Path Supreme Being stared at the Li clan's third ancestor. A powerful murderous aura immediately erupted from his body, causing the weather to change. What, you want to fight? The Li clan's third ancestor stared coldly at the Thunder Path Supreme Being. Humph. The Thunder Path Supreme Being took a step forward. With a wave of his right hand, a bolt of lightning immediately descended from the sky and blasted towards the Li clan's third ancestor. Every bolt of lightning directly tore through the void. A fight broke out at the slightest disagreement. The Li clan's third ancestor's body flashed, and he directly retreated over 10 miles away. The Thunder Path Supreme Being had no intention of letting the Li clan's third ancestor go. He turned into a bolt of lightning and instantly caught up to the Li clan's third ancestor. Then, he stomped down on him. Boom. Without any suspense, the Li clan's third ancestor was directly stomped down from the sky by the Thunder Path Supreme Being. Enough. At this moment, a deep voice rang out. A figure directly appeared in the void and blocked the Thunder Path Supreme Being who was about to attack again. You. Chapter 39:13. The Nine Heavens Imperial Court was the battlefield of the Supremes. It was beyond the ancestral realm and beyond the Nine Heavens. Only sages could enter. Cultivators below the sage level could not enter this place at all. The battle between Gu Fei and the Sky Clan leader was taking place above the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. Only Supremes were qualified to come and watch the battle. The sages naturally wanted to watch the battle as well. However, the might of a Supremes was not something they could withstand. A wisp of the might of a Supremes could destroy the body and soul of a sage. Even those quasi-Supremes who had one foot in the Supremes realm could not withstand the might of a Supremes. Rumble. At this moment, the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court shook. All the Supremes who were watching the battle were indescribably shocked. These two were too powerful. They could actually shake the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. One should know that this was the battlefield of the Supremes. Ordinary Supremes could not shake the Nine Heavens Imperial Court at all. There was a powerful force in the Nine Heavens Imperial Court that suppressed everything. Even Supremes would be suppressed in this place. When sages entered here, their cultivation would be suppressed. They would not be able to use their cultivation and would be like mortals. Only Supremes could fight in this place. Little guy, you really surprised me, the Sky Clan leader said as he attacked. This was the extreme breaking power. Under this power, no matter how powerful one was, it would be useless. It could be broken in one strike. You surprised me too, Gu Fei said indifferently. The extreme breaking power could only be broken by the extreme breaking power. He instantly broke through to the extreme breaking realm. His battle prowess increased to an unimaginable level. Boom. Bang. Muffled sounds of collision rang out continuously, like the sound of thunder coming from the primal chaos. The two figures kept colliding with each other, and every time they collided, a circle of transparent ripples would spread out in all directions. While Gu Fei was battling the Sky Clan's patriarch, Sovereign Thunder and the others were facing off against the Li Clan's second and third primogenitors. What? You can't wait anymore. Sovereign Black Wind glanced at the second ancestor and the others disdainfully. Humph, my master will not lose. Go back to where you came from. Sovereign Tianfeng said indifferently. Hee, the Sky Clan leader is the first master of the southern region of the ancestral realm. Will your master be his match? Third ancestor of the Li clan sneered. At that moment, one of the Chu clan supremes and 3 other supremes from other large clans and sects stood behind the Li clan's 2 primogenitors. In terms of strength, the Li clan side was not any weaker than the Shooting Sun Supreme side. Tai Inzi, Blazing Sun Ancestor. God, even you want to be my master's enemy? The sun-shooting supremacy glanced at the supremacies behind the two Li clan primogenitors indifferently. Among these supremacies, the Chu clan's supremacies weren't included. However, the supremacies of the other great sects and clans didn't have any grudges with Gu Fei. Li Realm, Mountain Emperor, the Realm, and the ancestors of the sea, there was, and the Emperor of the Supreme Clan. Gu Fei's Mountain River Cauldron still imprisoned the essence spirits of the 8 Supreme Masters. Only Sovereign Thunder was released. He reorganized his supreme body and became Gu Fei's subordinate. Taoism friend Shooting Sun, we have no choice. Although your master has no grudges with us, we owe him a favor. Tainzi, who was shrouded in Xianin black qi, said helplessly. That's right. The other old man, who was surrounded by divine fire, was also helpless. In fact, if it were not for the Star Beast, the 2 ancestors of the Li clan would have attacked Shooting Sun Supreme and the others. You can't bear the consequences of standing on the wrong side. Shooting Sun Supreme said indifferently. He knew Gu Fei's character very well. If he did not offend others, they would be lucky. Who would dare to offend him? The consequences of offending Gu Fei were very serious. However, Tainzi and Blazing Sun Ancestor God did not say anything about Shooting Sun Supreme's reminder. Haha, just now you said that your master would not lose. Everyone, look, isn't Gu Fei about to lose? At this moment, the 3rd ancestor of the Li clan laughed and said. Everyone quickly turned around and saw that Gu Fei was being beaten back by the clan master of the Tian clan. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others could not help but be shocked when they saw this. The combat power displayed by the clan master of the Tian clan was too shocking. His combat skills had already surpassed the scope of Dao. The power of his punches and kicks was stronger than any divine sense. The clan master of the Tian clan threw out 13 punches in a row and sent Gu Fei flying thousands of miles away. He crashed through a broken wall and slid on the ground for more than 10 miles before stopping. Not bad. You didn't explode from my punches. When the clan master of the Tian clan saw Gu Fei, who was slowly standing up from the ground, his pupils contracted. You're not bad either. You're already half a step into that realm. However, if you only have this level of combat power, you will definitely lose. Gu Fei stared coldly at the clan master of the Tian clan, who was walking towards him in the void step by step. Little guy, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The clan master of the Tian clan said disdainfully. Again. Gu Fei did not say anything else. He stomped on the ground and the entire ground exploded. At the same time, he had already rushed into the sky and attacked the figure in the sky. Without holding back, Gu Fei punched out. The power of breaking the limit exploded, and the fist force caused the void in front of him to collapse. The Heavenly Clan's patriarch reached out with his hand, as if he was grabbing all the Daos in the world. The void that had exploded was also caught in his hand. Even Gu Fei was grabbed by the clan master of the Tian clan. It was as if he was grabbed by an ancient giant. What? All the Supremes who were watching the battle were shocked. The clan master of the Tian clan was too powerful. That was Gu Fei, a legendary Dao legend. He had actually grabbed him in his hand. At this time, the 3rd ancestor of the Li clan was overjoyed. The Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others looked pale. If Gu Fei lost, they would be in trouble. The Li clan had already started to sharpen their blades. Roar! At this time, Gu Fei roared angrily and shattered the clan master of the Tian clan's giant hand. Then, he pointed at the clan master of the Tian clan. Buzz! A sword wave immediately rushed out from the tip of his finger and instantly spread out, enveloping the old Tian clan lord within the sword wave. The clan master of the Tian clan sneered. His body trembled and a ball of divine light exploded from his body, blocking the sword wave that was coming from all directions. At this time, Gu Fei's right hand grabbed the void. A divine sword immediately appeared in his hand. Kill. Without any hesitation, Gu Fei slashed down at the clan master of the Tian clan. The divine sword in Gu Fei's hand directly broke through the domain created by the clan master of the Tian clan and landed on his shoulder. When the Supremes saw this scene, they couldn't help but be shocked. The situation had changed too quickly. A moment ago, Gu Fei was at an absolute disadvantage and was being suppressed by the clan master of the Tian clan. But now, his sword had struck the clan master of the Tian clan. Bang! The clan master of the Tian clan's body sank, and he knelt on one knee. In the next moment, a mysterious shadow rushed out from the clan master of the Tian clan's body and forced Gu Fei to retreat. The shadow then disappeared into the clan master of the Tian clan's body. Gu Fei was indescribably shocked. He never thought that the clan master of the Tian clan had actually cultivated such a sacred art. It was a primordial spirit attack, not an external incarnation technique. A simple primordial spirit attack was naturally unable to force Gu Fei to retreat. However, this was not an ordinary primordial spirit attack. The primordial spirit attack of the Tian clan master just now was definitely not weaker than his full-strength attack. The clan master of the Tian clan slowly stood up. A sword scar on his shoulder was quickly disappearing. Little guy, the Tian clan master was enraged. How many years had it been since he was injured? Today, he was actually injured by a junior. This was hard for him to accept. How is this possible? The Tian clan supremes who were watching the battle were all dumbfounded. Gu Fei could actually injure their ancestor. Even the ancient supremes were dumbstruck. This Gu Fei is truly heaven-defying, someone exclaimed. The clan master of the Tian clan was the #1 sovereign of the southern region of the ancestral realm. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. In the next moment, the clan master of the Tian clan directly soared into the sky. His physical body broke through the void and directly arrived in front of Gu Fei. His physical body broke through the void? Gu Fei's 10 das of power was added to his body. His supreme martial body directly broke through the void and charged towards the clan master of the Tian clan, who was charging towards him. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. The two figures directly collided. This was a purely physical confrontation. Whoever's physical body was stronger would be able to suppress everything and defeat the other party. At this time, Gu Fei and the clan master of the Tian clan were both in the extreme breaking realm, transcending all great das. Even a place like the 9 Heavens Imperial Court was pierced through. Previous chapter, next chapter, bam. Gu Fei's fist smashed onto the chest of the clan master of the Tian clan. The sound of bones shattering immediately came from the clan master of the Tian clan's body. However, at the same time, the clan master of the Tian clan also chopped at Gu Fei's waist with his hand. Gu Fei only felt a sharp pain. It was as if his entire body had been cut in half by a knife, and he was sent flying. Both sides are injured? Everyone was incomparably nervous when they saw this scene. Gu Fei was really too amazing. Even if he couldn't defeat the clan master of the Tian clan, to be able to fight to a draw with the clan master of the Tian clan was enough to shock the world. The two figures once again charged towards each other. The sound of bones shattering rang out continuously. Regardless of whether it was Gu Fei or the clan master of the Tian clan, at this time, they had already fought with all their might. Especially the clan master of the Tian clan. He was even more shocked and angry. He was different from Yi Qingtian in the Lost Lands. He had already taken half a step into that legendary realm. However, even so, he still couldn't take down Gu Fei. Little guy, die. The clan master of the Tian clan suddenly roared. In the next moment, a powerful extreme breaking force erupted from his body. Then, Gu Fei only felt the world spin, as if he had entered another world. Chapter 39:14. The battle between Gu Fei and the Heavenly Clan's patriarch attracted more than half of the primordial realm's supremes to spectate. The battle between the two powerhouses was earth-shattering. Even the battlefield of supremes like the 9 Heavens Imperial Court was almost destroyed. This shocked all the supremes. Rumble. The Heavenly Clan's old clan master had finally used his trump card. As he waved his hands, the entire world seemed to turn upside down. In the next instant, only Gu Fei and the Heavenly Clan's old clan master were left in the world. Gu Fei felt as though he had entered another world. Where did they go? Why did they disappear? What's going on? The spectating Supremes didn't see how Gu Fei and the Heavenly Clan's patriarch disappeared. It was as though they had vanished into thin air. Master, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were shocked when they saw this. Haha, look, I was right, wasn't I? That Gu Fei is finished. The Li clan's third primordial ancestor laughed proudly. The Supremes behind the Li clan's two primordial ancestors were also overjoyed. If Gu Fei was killed by the Heavenly Clan's patriarch, it would be great news for them. Gu Fei's territory was like a fat piece of meat. It was hard to imagine how many forces would try to snatch it after Gu Fei's death. Even the forces from other regions would take advantage of this opportunity to enter the southern domain. At that time, not only would the entire southern region be in chaos, but the entire primordial realm would also be in turmoil. How can you imagine my master's abilities? The Shooting Sun Supreme stared coldly at the Li clan's third primordial ancestor. They had been restricted by Gu Fei. If Gu Fei died, they would also be in trouble. But now, they were alive and well. This proved that Gu Fei hadn't been defeated. At the very least, he hadn't died. It should be known that Gu Fei was an extreme legend in the primordial realm. If an extreme legend could be defeated so easily, he wouldn't be called an extreme legend. Haha, you're still stubborn? One of the Chu clan's supremes, standing behind the Li clan's two primogenitors, laughed heartily. The Chu clan was definitely Gu Fei's greatest enemy. Old Monster Chu was even defeated by Gu Fei and had no choice but to return to seclusion to recuperate. As a result, the Chu clan's prestige in the southern territory fell to rock bottom. Their influence was also greatly reduced. Some of the powers that had originally submitted to the Chu clan began to show signs of looking for other backers. The primogenitor's realm was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. It was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. When you're strong, there will be countless people following you. However, when you're weak, the countless people following you will leave you. This was the reality of the cultivation world of the primogenitor realm. After Old Monster Chu and Li Changtian were defeated by Gu Fei, countless forces in the southern region had the idea of relying on Gu Fei. No matter where it was, or what world it was, the strong would always be respected, and there would always be people willing to follow the strong. If it wasn't for the existence of the number one cultivation force in the southern region, Gu Fei would have already unified the entire southern region of the primogenitor's realm. The battle between Gu Fei and the Sky Clan's patriarch had a huge impact. It directly decided who the true overlord of the southern region would be. At this time, some forces were already rejoicing that they didn't choose to rely on Gu Fei. Otherwise, it would have been a tragedy. In the end, the Sky Clan's patriarch was still stronger. Of course, it was still too early. The leaders of these forces weren't fools. They were still observing. At this time, the Shooting Sun Supremes and the Supremes of the Li clan were at daggers drawn. They were about to fight. At this time, a pitch-black crack suddenly appeared in the void in front of them. A beam of destructive light broke through the void and rushed out, sweeping towards the Li clan's third primogenitor. What? The Li clan's third primogenitor was shocked and hurriedly dodged. However, the speed of the destructive light was too fast. The Li clan's third primogenitor avoided being hit in his vitals, but the destructive light still penetrated his left shoulder. Roar! The Li clan's third primogenitor roared angrily. He naturally knew who the attacker was. However, it was precisely because he knew who it was that he didn't dare to be impudent. Master! The Shooting Sun Supremes were both surprised and delighted. All the Supremes who saw this scene felt their hearts tremble. An extreme legend couldn't be humiliated. The Supremes in the Li clan's camp all had ugly expressions, especially the Li clan's second primogenitor. He dared to be angry, but didn't dare to say anything. As for the Chu clan Supremes, they looked like they had eaten a fly. At this time, Gu Fei was trapped in the Sky clan's extreme break domain. Although he was suppressed, he didn't completely lose the ability to fight back. Little guy, admit defeat obediently, and I will spare your life. The Sky clan's patriarch's voice came from all directions. Even with Gu Fei's cultivation and battle prowess, he couldn't sense where the Sky clan's patriarch was. Haha, Gu Fei suddenly laughed loudly. You want me to admit defeat at this level? What a joke. Gu Fei shook his head and smiled bitterly to himself. He hadn't even shown his trump card yet. If that's the case, then go to hell. The Sky Clan's patriarch wasn't going to be merciful. He had lived for countless years and had seen countless outstanding people. He had even personally killed many people who were said to be heaven-defying. Although Gu Fei was an extreme legend, so what? However, his martial body emitted a powerful and terrifying aura. He directly let the Sky Clan's patriarch collide with him. In the next moment, a figure flew up and smashed onto the ground. For a moment, he could not stand up. When everyone saw this scene, they were speechless. The strength of Gu Fei's martial body exceeded that of all the Supremes. Because he was a martial Dao supremacy, his martial body was so strong that even Black Turtle Supremacy, who was famous for his defense, could not compare to him. The Sky Clan's patriarch actually dared to get close. Wasn't he courting death? The Sky Clan's patriarch has lost. When the Supremes saw this scene, they felt as if they were in a dream. Everything was so unreal. At this time, the Sky Clan's patriarch stood up again. Pieces of red scales rushed out from his body and surrounded him. Very quickly, a set of battle armor was directly attached to the Sky Clan's patriarch's body. In the next moment, a shocking aura immediately erupted from the Sky Clan's patriarch's body. The entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court was shaking, as if it could collapse at any time. Some of the Supremes had already taken out their self-refined Dao artifacts to protect themselves. Little fellow, I didn't expect you to actually force me to use my trump card. The Sky Clan's patriarch stared at Gu Fei and said in a deep voice, "This is your trump card?" Gu Fei was a little surprised. It was just a set of scarlet blood battle armor, and it could turn the tables? Buzz. Gu Fei raised his right hand, and a Dao artifact immediately appeared. An aura that seemed to originate from the primordial era spread out from the Dao artifact. Wheel of the Heavens? When the Sky Clan's patriarch saw the Dao artifact in Gu Fei's hand, he could not help but turn pale with fright. At this moment, the Wheel of the Heavens suddenly trembled. Then, rays of black light flew over from all directions and directly collided with the Wheel of the Heavens. The clanging sounds did not stop. The Wheel of the Heavens in Gu Fei's hand was actually repairing itself. In the next moment, the might of the Wheel of the Heavens spread out, intimidating everyone. Haha, I didn't expect to find these things here. Gu Fei looked at the Wheel of the Heavens in his hand and could not help but be surprised and happy. Swoosh. Chapter 39:15. The Celestial Clan's patriarch disappeared. This made it hard for the spectating Supremes to believe that the Celestial Clan's patriarch was once the #1 supremacy of the Southern Domain. The Celestial Clan of the Southern Domain was not only the most ancient race in the Southern Domain, but also one of the most ancient races in the entire ancestral realm. Although the Celestial Clan had gone into seclusion, this race had never declined. In every generation, there would be stunning existences appearing, and the Celestial Clan's patriarch was publicly recognized as the strongest Supremes in the Southern Domain. But now, this supremacy, who was so powerful that all Supremes trembled, was actually defeated by Gu Fei. At this time, the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court was silent. How is this possible? The two spectating Supremes were dumbfounded. How could the patriarch be defeated? In the eyes of all the Celestial Clansmen, the Celestial Clan's patriarch was invincible. He was invincible in the entire Southern Domain, able to compete with the strongest existences in the ancestral realm. But today, the Celestial Clan's patriarch's invincible legend was shattered by Gu Fei. Let's go. The two Supremes of the Celestial Clan directly retreated. Gu Fei did not stop them. His battle with the Celestial Clan's patriarch was a fair battle. There was no enmity between the two, and he was not a bloodthirsty madman. The most dazzling battle in the Southern Domain of the ancestral realm ended. When the news spread, the entire Southern Domain was shaken. The Supremes of the Li Clan and Chu Clan were dumbfounded, especially the third ancestor of the Li Clan. His eyes almost fell to the ground. He was shocked and angry. How could this Gu Fei be the Celestial Clan's patriarch's opponent? Not only the third ancestor of the Li Clan, but all the Supremes also found it hard to believe. The Celestial clan could not accept this result. But whether they didn't believe it or found it hard to accept, the matter of Gu Fei defeating the Celestial clan's patriarch was real. The honorable martial artists of the Li clan and the Chu clan chose to retreat immediately. Gu Fei didn't attack the Li clan and the Chu clan either, directly letting them leave. This made Gu Fei's subordinates, the Black Wind Supremacy and the others, very unwilling. How could they let these fellows from the Li and Chu clans off so easily? However, Gu Fei did not make a move. The Black Wind Supremacy and the others were also very helpless. Roar! That astral beast suddenly roared. The entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court trembled. Those supreme beings who had yet to leave were all indescribably shocked. They didn't expect that this astral beast was actually so powerful and terrifying. Is that Gu Fei's mount? Someone exclaimed. Since ancient times, Gu Fei was probably the only person who had used an adult star beast as a mount. It had to be known that an adult star beast's combat strength was comparable to a supremacy's. In this battle, not only did Gu Fei defeat the Celestial Clan Patriarch, but he also repaired a portion of the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds. The Wheel of the Myriad Worlds, the number 1 Dao tool in the primogenitor realm, was too heavily damaged. After this repair, some of the parts that were missing were restored. This number 1 Dao tool in the primogenitor realm could be repaired. This was completely a pleasant surprise. Even Gu Fei did not know that there were some fragments of the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds scattered in the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. It was really hard to imagine what kind of impact this number 1 Dao tool in the primogenitor realm had received to be so heavily damaged. It had to be known that this Wheel of the Myriad Worlds was a supreme Dao tool that even a supremacy could not damage. Could it be that someone had transcended back then? Gu Fei took out the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds. The aura of the Myriad Worlds spread out and enveloped the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Court. However, no more fragments of the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds flew out from the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. Seeing that Gu Fei took out the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds, the supreme beings who had yet to leave all changed expressions. The Wheel of the Myriad Worlds was the number 1 Dao tool in the primogenitor realm. Legend had it that whoever could control this Dao tool would be able to unify the entire primogenitor realm and become the invincible ruler of the primogenitor realm. It was also because of this ancient legend that every time there was a commotion on the primogenitor sacred mountain, countless supreme beings would descend to the primogenitor mountain to fight for this Dao tool. Since ancient times, the supreme beings that died in the primogenitor mountain range were probably second only to the supreme tomb. Return and go into seclusion. Gu Fei kept the Wheel of the Myriad Worlds, then led his subordinates and left the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. He then returned to the Thunder Dao Sovereign's Thunder Lake. He directly entered the depths of the Thunder Lake to go into seclusion and did not allow anyone to disturb him. Gu Fei obtained many benefits from the battle with the Sky Clan's Patriarch. The Sky Clan's Patriarch was worthy of being a half-step transcendent being. There were many things that Gu Fei could learn from and study. The Sky Clan's Patriarch had walked a long way on this path. Compared to Yi Qingtian in the Lost Lands, the Sky Clan's Patriarch's path was undoubtedly correct. This was because the Sky Clan's Patriarch did not need any external help to break through to the legendary realm. This was the path that Gu Fei wanted to walk. To achieve true transcendence, it was impossible to rely on external help. He could only rely on himself. Gu Fei had already grasped the power of breaking through limits. He was only half a step away from reaching the half-step transcendent realm. This was also the reason why Gu Fei was so anxious to go into seclusion. He knew that after his battle with the Sky Clan's Patriarch, he should have received some sort of enlightenment. The Sky Clan's Patriarch should also be in seclusion. Once such a person came out, his cultivation would definitely increase greatly. At that time, he might not be this super antique's opponent. Although Gu Fei had defeated the Sky Clan's Patriarch on the surface, no one knew better than him that the Sky Clan's Patriarch still had the strength to fight. If the Sky Clan's Patriarch fought with his life on the line, it would be hard to say who would win. Chief Shooting Sun, why has Master been in seclusion recently? Black Wind, who was guarding outside the valley, asked the Shooting Sun Supreme curiously. You're asking me? Who should I ask? The Shooting Sun Supreme said impatiently. Black Wind was a lazy fella. When he met a strong enemy, he would immediately admit defeat. He would either run away or hide at the back. All the Supremes under Gu Fei didn't like this fella. Black Wind Supreme shrunk his neck and didn't dare to ask anymore. He was the weakest among these Supremes. His fists weren't strong enough. If he could admit defeat, he couldn't force it. In the eyes of Black Wind Supreme, nothing was more important than his own life. Master's cultivation should increase by another level. A figure sitting cross-legged in the void, surrounded by lightning and fire, suddenly spoke. This person emitted a terrifying destructive aura. He was like a peerless supreme lightning ancestor. He was the master of the Thunder Lake, the Lightning Tao Supreme. The cultivation of the Lightning Tao Supreme wasn't below that of the Shooting Sun Supreme. In fact, it might even be above him. The Lightning Tao was the Tao of destruction, punishing on behalf of the heavens. Among those of the same level, the Lightning Tao Supreme was superior. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Their master was already a High Lord. If his cultivation went up another level, wouldn't he become the first person in history to surpass the extreme grade? Surpassing the extreme Tao was just a legend. Master really has the ability to surpass the extreme Tao? The Wind Saint Supreme said in shock. Who knows? The Shooting Sun Supreme suddenly sighed. Regardless of whether Gu Fei could become the first person to surpass the extreme Tao, he only cared about one thing. Gu Fei mustn't die. If he died, all of them would be buried with him. At this moment, a deafening snoring sound came from afar. The star beast was like a huge mountain, lying on the ground and sleeping. This guy is so carefree. He eats and sleeps. He sleeps and eats. The Black Wind Supreme said with a bitter smile. While Gu Fei was in seclusion, the old clan master of the Sky Clan passed down an order in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. Chapter 39:16. Gu Fei's every move attracted attention from all directions. The reason was simple. It was because he defeated the Celestial Clan Master, the #1 supremacy of the Southern Domain. However, no one expected that after Gu Fei defeated the Celestial Clan Master, he didn't take the opportunity to conquer the Celestial Clan and dominate the Southern Domain. Instead, he went into seclusion. Soon after, the news of the Celestial Clan Master's seclusion also spread. The Southern Domain's two greatest powerhouses actually went into seclusion at the same time. This shocked all the supremacies. One had to know that both Gu Fei and the Celestial Clan Master were existences at the end of the extreme Tao, yet they both went into seclusion at the same time. In other words, in that battle between them, the two of them had unimaginable harvests. Perhaps someone is going to prove the true supreme great Tao? An ancient autarch said. The true supreme great Tao? Isn't the extreme Tao already the supreme great Tao? Someone was shocked to hear this. In the cultivation world, the extreme Tao realm was already publicly recognized as the supreme great Tao. Could it be that this wasn't the true supreme great Tao? Only those at the peak of the extreme Tao could understand the words of the old supremacies. The end of the extreme Tao was not empty. Above the extreme Tao, there was an even higher realm. However, to all the supremacies, that was only a legend. Perhaps some people walked a different path and realized relative eternity, but that wasn't the true supreme great Tao. It could only be said that those people walked the wrong path. Gu Fei's seclusion made some people anxious. They thought of all kinds of ways to take Gu Fei's life. They didn't have the ability to do so, so they went to invite others or offered treasures that even supremacies coveted. Whoever could kill Gu Fei would get the treasures. There was a blacklist in the primogenitor realm. The people on the list were all existences with bounties on their heads. Every one of them had done something that shook a region. Almost everyone on the blacklist was a fiendish devil, a great villain. However, just a few days after Gu Fei went into seclusion, his name was already on the blacklist, and he was even ranked in the top 10. This made everyone's eyeballs fall out of their sockets. This Gu Fei is really a fierce man of his generation. He actually rushed into the top 10 of the Dark List and even squeezed out the first demon of the Ancestor Demon Realm. Is he even stronger than the first demon of the Ancestor Demon Realm? Some people were shocked to the extreme. Ancestor Demon Realm? For 1,000? The two Ancestor Devils were both on the blacklist, and the first Ancestor Devil was ranked 8th. But now, Gu Fei had come up. Gu Fei had pushed the first devil primogenitor down one spot. Gu Fei was in 8th place, while the first devil primogenitor was in 9th place. Chapter 39:17. In the Thunder Lake, where Gu Fei was cultivating in seclusion, a mysterious black silhouette appeared. This shocked the Dark Path Supremes, the Shooting Sun Supremes, and the others who were guarding outside the valley. Even Wang Ming from the Wang family of the Central region had been chased away. Could this mysterious black silhouette be even stronger than Wang Ming? The black silhouette didn't say a word and immediately attacked. A black aura spread from his body. Wherever the black aura enveloped, the void was destroyed silently. Death aura. Could it be the terrifying existence that walked out of the Supreme Tomb? The Shooting Sun Supremes exclaimed. When Gu Fei and Li Changtian fought, two mysterious existences were alarmed. One was the existence in the blood-colored sarcophagus, and the other was the middle-aged man in hemp robes who walked out of the Supreme Tomb. However, the black silhouette was shrouded in black aura and couldn't be seen clearly. Even the Shooting Sun Supremes and the Thunder Path Supremes couldn't see his true appearance. The black aura spread and the entire world turned dark. Even the light seemed to be devoured by the black aura. The Shooting Sun Supremes and the others hurriedly activated their divine light to protect themselves. However, the moment their divine light came into contact with the black aura, it became faint. Countless Tao patterns on the divine light dissipated. The black aura could actually destroy the Tao patterns of the Supremes. The Shooting Sun Supremes and the others were shocked. They hurriedly retreated and wanted to escape from the range of the black aura. However, in the next moment, they realized that the black aura was suppressing them to the point where they couldn't move at all. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. They originally thought that it was just an ordinary death aura. They didn't expect the black aura to be able to imprison them. A wisp of aura as heavy as a primordial sacred mountain. How is this possible? The Thunder Path Supremes exclaimed. Although he tried his best to activate the divine light around him, it was still gradually dimming. Could this be a mutated primordial aura? The Shooting Sun Supremes was shocked. The legendary dark primordial aura? The Black Wind Supremes were extremely shocked. One must know that the dark primordial aura was an extreme power that was the complete opposite of the primordial aura. Where there was life, there was death. This was a cycle, a heavenly Tao, a samsara. Grand Mist energy was the ancestral energy of the world. It could give birth to all. However, on the contrary, the primordial dark gas represented death, extreme death. Death chi was also divided into different types. Dark primordial chi was the most powerful and terrifying of all death chi. A single strand was enough to kill a supreme. Star Beast Sovereign, aren't you going to make a move? The Shooting Sun's supremacy roared. He couldn't hold on much longer. Once his protective divine light was completely corroded by the primordial darkness chi, he would also be instantly obliterated by the primordial darkness chi. Being obliterated by the primordial dark chi would result in the annihilation of one's body and soul. While the Sun-Shooting Supremacy and the others were in danger, the Star Beast was still sleeping soundly. This left the Sun-Shooting Supremacy and the others speechless. Roar! A deep roar rang out. Then, a beast that was as large as a mountain stood up from the ground. An adult Star Beast? The Black Shadow couldn't help but be surprised to see this giant beast. Phew! The Star Beast merely spat out a breath, and the violent power of the stars turned into a storm of stars, directly blowing away the mass of black gas that pervaded the air. This was the might of a supreme beast that could compete with a supremacy. It blew away the primordial dark chi with a single breath. The Sun-Shooting Supremacy and the others immediately heaved a sigh of relief. However, at that moment, the black gas that had been blown away gathered again and swept toward the Sun-Shooting Supremacy and the others. The black gas was like a towering black wave that slammed down on the Sun-Shooting Supremacy and the others from the sky. At that moment, 4,000 the Star Beast opened its mouth and inhaled. The overwhelming black gas that was sweeping toward them actually gathered in its mouth and was directly swallowed by the giant beast. The Star Beast could swallow the stars, the sun, and the moon. An adult star beast could even swallow the stars of a celestial domain with a single breath. Although the primordial dark chi was powerful, it was still swallowed and refined by the star beast and turned into its power. An adult star beast could refine all the essence in the world, including the primordial dark chi. This star beast was comparable to the legendary heaven-swallowing beast, Buzz. While the primordial dark energy was being devoured incessantly by the star beast, a rumbling sound suddenly resounded throughout space. After that, the black figure directly appeared in front of the star beast and smashed his fist towards it. Simple, direct, and violent. The mysterious Black Shadow's punch didn't use any mystical skills or great techniques. It was just a direct display of power. This punch had already surpassed the scope of Tao and was somewhat close to the extreme breaking realm. However, it still wasn't the extreme breaking realm. Boom! With a loud sound, the star beast that was larger than a mountain was continuously pushed back by the mysterious Black Shadow's punch. The ground shook with every step it took. What? The shooting Sun Supreme and the others were astonished when they saw this. This star beast wasn't an ordinary star beast. It was an adult star beast, yet it was pushed back by a punch from the mysterious Black Shadow. If even the star beast Venerable couldn't stop this guy and allowed him to enter the valley, the consequences would be unpredictable. Roar! The star beast was enraged, and a terrifying and monstrous star power erupted from its body. In the next moment, a universe actually appeared around the giant beast. Spots of starlight appeared around the star beast like twinkling stars. These spots of starlight immediately turned into shocking swordlights that pierced through the mysterious Black Shadow. However, the Black Shadow casually extended its right hand and pressed forward. The countless starlight swordlights that pierced through the star beast were all blocked as if they had hit a transparent wall. The Black Shadow's right hand trembled slightly, and the countless starlight swordlights shattered in the void. A huge black hand slapped forward with great force. Boom! With a dull sound, the giant beast was pushed back again. This time, the shooting Sun Supreme and the others were dumbfounded. They knew that someone had offered a sky-high price to kill Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei was a super expert ranked 8th on the black roll. The person who dared to accept this mission was definitely not simple. After the mysterious figure pushed the star beast back, he took a step forward and entered the valley where Gu Fei was cultivating in seclusion. Like a gust of wind, he passed through the protective formation that Gu Fei had set up and appeared on a huge rock. He then looked around. Everything he saw was lush and full of vitality. No one would have expected that there would be such a great place in the Thunder Lock. Meanwhile, Gu Fei was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock in the middle of the valley. He was digesting the things he had obtained from the battle with the Sky Clan leader. At this moment, Gu Fei's aura started to change. It became more down-to-earth, just like a real mortal man. Gu Fei's current state was in the most complete state of returning to his original state. At this moment, the mysterious Black Shadow was like a cloud of black smoke. He came to the opposite side of Gu Fei and stood in the air, staring coldly at Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei did not seem to know that the Black Shadow had come to the opposite side of him. He was still sitting on the huge rock and cultivating with his eyes closed. How could he break through the limit and become an eternal existence? This was the question that Gu Fei had to think about. He wanted to walk his own path to become an expert. He could only learn from others. In the end, he could only rely on himself. Seeing that Gu Fei was ignoring him, the mysterious Black Shadow was furious. He reached out and pressed his palm against Gu Fei. A cloud of black gas appeared from his palm and spread out. The black gas enveloped Gu Fei. However, a shocking scene appeared. Although the black gas had already enveloped Gu Fei did not seem to be afraid of it at all. This was dark primordial energy. Being enveloped by this deathly aura, even a supreme being would face the fate of having his body and soul destroyed. How is this possible? The mysterious Black Shadow was shocked. He wanted to retract the black gas. However, at this moment, Gu Fei, who had been closing his eyes, suddenly opened them. He opened his mouth and inhaled, immediately devouring the surrounding black chi. The mysterious Black Shadow was shocked. The primordial dark gas that he cultivated was useless against this guy? You dare to provoke me? You have guts. Gu Fei looked at the mysterious black shadow calmly. In his eyes, this guy was already a dead man. The mysterious black shadow did not speak. Instead, he suddenly soared into the sky, trying to escape. Since you're here, don't leave, Gu Fei said calmly. Then, he grabbed upward with his right hand. The black shadow flew toward him involuntarily and was caught in his hand. What? Everyone who had just rushed into the valley and saw this scene was inexplicably shocked. Gu Fei had actually grabbed this mysterious black shadow in one go. It was truly inconceivable. It was just a clone, and yet it dared to cause trouble for him. It was simply courting death. What kind of person was Gu Fei? He could see through this guy at a glance. The mysterious black shadow's cultivation was only at the peak of extreme grade. He had not even broken through to the extreme grade secret realm. However, this black shadow could suppress the star beast. This was really unbelievable. The mysterious black shadow's real body was definitely much stronger than the clone. Bam! Gu Fei exerted force in his right hand. The mysterious black shadow in his hand exploded and turned into a cloud of black gas. Then, he opened his mouth and directly swallowed it. Just as Gu Fei swallowed the mysterious black shadow, in the deepest part of the supreme tomb of the primogenitor realm, roar came from a cave that swallowed the death chi. The entire cave shook. Endless black gas rushed out of the cave and enveloped the entire sky. The void between heaven and earth was silently annihilated. Who dares to destroy my clone? Chapter 39:18. The mysterious shadow actually dared to barge into Gu Fei's seclusion grounds. Thus, a tragic scene occurred. The shadow was actually devoured by Gu Fei. No matter how powerful the shadow's primordial dark chi was, it couldn't withstand a single blow from Gu Fei. After refining the mysterious shadow, Gu Fei's primordial dark chi increased by quite a bit. However, his cultivation remained at the extreme mystic realm. It was no longer a matter of strength if he wanted to take that legendary step. Gu Fei had a feeling that no matter how strong he was, he couldn't surpass the extreme mystic realm. It was simply too difficult to surpass the myriad Daos in the heavens. One had to know that even extreme supremes were still bound by the boundary of the Tao. Since ancient times, countless supremes had attempted all sorts of things, but in the end, no one had truly transcended it. Not only Gu Fei, but even the Sky Clan leader, Li Changtian, and Old Monster Chu were also stuck at the extreme mystic realm. They couldn't advance even an inch over the years. In the southern region of the ancestral realm, the Sky Clan leader was considered the most promising existence to take that step. However, with the appearance of this variable, Gu Fei, it was hard to say who would be able to take that step. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Thunder Lake in the southern region, in a valley, Gu Fei directly sat on a boulder and continued to cultivate after devouring the mysterious shadow. Everyone retreated and continued to stand guard outside. At this time, countless disciples of the Shooting Sun Temple, led by Shooting Sun Supreme, also entered the Thunder Lake because the ancestral land of the temple had been destroyed. Right now, there were two levels of subordinates under Gu Fei. One was the Shooting Sun Sovereign's faction, which was overseen by an autarch, and the other was Gu Fei's first-rate faction. The faction led by Old Ancestor Ing Tian was a second-rate faction. In the ancestral realm, strength was everything. Factions with supremes naturally couldn't be compared to ordinary factions. Although Old Ancestor Ing Tian and the other sect ancestors of the second-tier forces obeyed Gu Fei, they did not dare to disobey the orders of other supremes. These guys sadly discovered that although they followed Gu Fei, it did not seem to change anything. Of course, Gu Fei was much more powerful than the previous Wood race. Following Gu Fei was undoubtedly more promising than following the Wood race. If one wanted to break free from the shackles of the Tao, one had to be Taoless. This was the theory in the primogenitor's realm that being Taoless was better than being Taoless. Now, what Gu Fei wanted to do was to transform having a Tao into not having a Tao, transform limited into infinite, and realize the leap that transcended the myriad of Taos in the world. However, Gu Fei had mastered the perfect 10 paths. How could it be easy to dissolve the perfect 10 paths? He tried to combine the 10 das into one. Very quickly, 10 streams of energy appeared on his body. 10 terrifying figures appeared in the sky above the valley. What is that? The shooting sun supreme and the others who were guarding outside the valley looked up into the sky. They were all extremely shocked. The 10 illusory figures stood high up in the sky. The aura emanating from each of the illusory figures made their souls tremble. In front of these illusory figures, they were as weak as ants. Even the star beast was startled awake from its slumber. Roar! The star beast stared at the 10 figures in the sky with some fear and growled in a low voice. What is Master trying to do? Is he cultivating an avatar? The Thunder Supreme asked in astonishment. Each of the 10 figures in the sky had a different aura. They were actually 10 types of perfect das. Moreover, these 10 figures were all Gu Fei. Among the 10 figures, there was a figure with soaring flames like the Supreme Fire Ancestor. There was also a figure with soaring sword aura like the Supreme Sword Ancestor. There was also a figure with chaotic yin and yang, a figure as faint as the wind, a figure with mysterious reincarnation, a figure with 5 elements, and so on. Among the 10 figures, the primordial chaos figure and the chaotic figure were the strongest. The primordial chaos figure merely stood there, but its primordial chaos aura surged into the sky as if it could overturn the heavens. The void around the chaotic figure was constantly collapsing and reassembling. It was a shocking sight. The 10 figures stood quietly in the void. The supreme aura emitted from their bodies was so oppressive that it seemed like the entire world was going to be destroyed. Pitch-black spatial cracks kept appearing in the void. Moreover, the auras emanating from these 10 figures were still continuously increasing. Retreat. The shooting sun supreme and the others retreated immediately. Even the star beast did not dare to stay nearby. Its huge body rose into the sky and retreated into the distance. The Thunder Supreme immediately ordered all the disciples of the Thunder Clan to retreat from the Thunder Lake. The Shooting Sun Supreme also ordered the disciples of the Shooting Sun God Hall to retreat from the Thunder Lake. Then, Ingtian sect and the other second-tier forces also began to retreat. In an instant, countless cultivators that gathered in the Thunder Lake retreated from the Thunder Lake like a tide. Rumble. The 3 divine halls of the Thunder Clan were uprooted from the ground and flew into the sky. Then, they were taken away by the Thunder Supreme. In the end, the Thunder Supreme made his move and captured a great Earth Ancestor vein from the depths of the Thunder Clan's ancestral ground. The Shooting Sun God Hall was a good example. It was destroyed, and even the great Earth Ancestor vein was devoured by Li Changtian. The Thunder Supreme could not take the risk. As long as the great Earth Ancestor vein was fine, it would not be difficult for the Thunder Supreme to create another ancestral ground with his cultivation. After everyone in the Thunder Lake had retreated, an ancient cauldron flew out from the valley and soared into the sky. In the next moment, a huge ancient cauldron descended from the sky and covered the entire Thunder Lake. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. The area of the Thunder Lake was too huge. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to cross the entire Thunder Lake even if they flew for tens of years. Even a saint would need a few years to cross the Lightning Lake if they were to fly nonstop. However, Gu Fei had covered the entire Thunder Lake with the mountain and river cauldron. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the other 5 Supremes used their full strength and could only bring the living beings above the immortal realm away from the Thunder Lake. As for the living beings below the immortal realm, they could not care so much. Fortunately, the Thunder Tao Essence Chi was too abundant in the Thunder Lake. As a result, other living beings could not survive in the Thunder Lake. Even so, there were still countless Thunder attribute living beings below the immortal realm cultivating in the Thunder Lake. Sigh. This little fellow Gu Fei really doesn't rest for a moment. At this moment, a disheveled old man walked out from the depths of the sky. The disheveled old man scolded out as he waved his hand. All of the living beings in the Thunder Lake flew out and disappeared into the void. The disheveled old man then turned around and walked into the depths of the sky. This guy was the god of the mountain and river cauldron. He moved all the living beings in the Thunder Lake away and sealed the Thunder Lake, isolating the supreme aura from the 10 shadows in the sky. One had to know that not everyone could withstand the aura of a supreme being. Even a quasi-supreme being would have their bodies crushed, their souls shattered, and their bodies and souls destroyed under the extreme aura. Rumble. The entire Thunder Lake began to shake. At this moment, Gu Fei no longer had any scruples. With just a thought, the extreme formation runes that covered the entire valley were dispersed into the void. In the next moment, the entire valley turned into ashes. The entire Thunder Lake was on the verge of collapsing. The Thunder Dao essence chi was boiling and dazzling rays of lightning tore through the sky. The destructive aura was vast. High up in the sky, Gu Fei's shadow opened its mouth and inhaled. Countless rays of lightning gathered into its mouth, and the chaotic Thunder Dao essence chi in the entire Thunder Lake was completely devoured by it. After Gu Fei's shadow devoured the Thunder Dao essence chi, it solidified as if it was going to materialize and walk out from the void. Is Gu Fei really going to break through to that realm? At the end of the sky sat a disheveled old man. The god of the mountain and river cauldron sat at the peak of the sky. Only he had the power to suppress the heavens and the extreme Tao. The mountain and river cauldron had existed for countless years, and its origins were incomparably mysterious. In terms of knowledge, even the supremes in the ancestral realm could not compare to this disheveled old man. Since ancient times, no one has succeeded in the human realm, heavenly realm, or ancestral realm. Can this kid do it? The disheveled old man sighed and shook his head before disappearing into the void. He did not leave but fused with the body of the mountain and river cauldron. Only then could he unleash the greatest power of the mountain and river cauldron. The disheveled old man did not dare to be careless. At this moment, the aura of the 10 shadows in the sky was still increasing as if there was no end to it. This shocked the supremes outside the Thunder Lake. Although the mountain and river cauldron had suppressed the extreme Tao aura of the 10 shadows, it still could not completely isolate the extreme Tao aura. The supremes could still sense the changes in the extreme Tao aura of the 10 shadows in the Thunder Lake. Master is actually this powerful. He's probably invincible in the entire ancestral realm. The Black Wind Sovereign was speechless. You underestimate the supremes of the ancestral realm. Sovereign Thunder shook his head. Gu Fei might be invincible in the southern region, but it was impossible for him to be invincible in the entire primogenitor realm. Since ancient times, no one had ever been invincible in the entire primogenitor realm. Gu Fei was no exception. However, if Gu Fei could really break through to that legendary realm, then no one in the entire primordial realm would be a match for him. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others did not speak, which meant that they agreed with the Thunder Sovereign's words. What's going on? At this moment, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were shocked to discover that the 10 shadows in the sky above the Thunder Lake had actually moved and started fighting with one another. The entire Thunder Lake exploded and turned into chaos. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were dumbfounded. They did not expect the 10 shadows to start fighting with one another. What's happening? Chapter 39:19. Gu Fei finally took that step. Although it was just an attempt, the phenomenon that was triggered was earth-shattering. The Black Marsh was destroyed. If the Thunder Sovereign had not moved the ancestral Earth Meridian under the Thunder Lake, even the ancestral Earth Meridian would have been destroyed. Rumble. High up in the sky, the 10 shadows were fighting. It was as if 10 supremes were fighting each other. The mighty aura of the extreme Tao destroyed the entire void. The shadow of the mountain and river cauldron that shrouded the entire Thunder Lake was shaking. Countless ancient Tao patterns appeared and intertwined on the shadow of the ancient cauldron, forming an ancient Tao diagram. The power of the great Tao triggered by the Tao pattern was extremely strong, and it completely blocked the surging divine might of the great Tao. Otherwise, if the extreme Tao aura from the 10 shadows was allowed to spread, even a small half of the ancestral realm's southern region would be destroyed, let alone the Thunder Lake. At this moment, the mountain and river cauldron displayed the power to suppress the heavens. However, even so, the area outside the mountain and river cauldron still shook. Mountains collapsed one after another, the ground cracked, and dust rose into the sky, blocking out the sun. This was as terrifying as the end of the world. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others, who were watching from the outside, were extremely shocked. No one had expected Gu Fei to cause such a shocking commotion. Boom! At this moment, the 10 figures who were engaged in battle were sent flying at the same time. A power that surpassed the extreme Tao spread out, and even the mountain and river cauldron was almost shaken off. The disheveled old man was so frightened that he hurriedly attacked with all his might, and only then was he able to suppress the power that was spreading out. Gu Fei, this little be asterisk starred. The disheveled old man was hopping mad. If this level of power were to explode a few more times, he would not be able to withstand it. Boom! The 10 shadows that were sent flying once again rushed together, fighting so hard that even the primal chaos was boiling. The shocking sword light directly slashed through the void, broke through the chaos, and directly sent one of the shadows flying. The other shadow surrounded by the chaotic aura raised its palm and sent the shadow of the sword chi soaring into the sky flying. Then, the primal chaos phantom was swept away by a wave of primordial chaos energy. At this time, Gu Fei was sitting cross-legged in the void. The boulder beneath him had long since turned to dust, and the 10 streams of power were constantly interweaving and colliding with his body. He wanted to fuse the 10 strands of power together, but this seemed impossible. The 10 strands of power repelled each other, and there were no signs of them fusing together. Is it really that difficult to refine Tindas? Gu Fei was extremely shocked. Not only did the power of the 10 rays collide with him, hideous bloody scars appeared on his body. If it wasn't for the fact that his supreme Taoist body was strong enough, his body would have long been shattered, and his soul would have been obliterated by the power of the 10 rays. If that was the case, then he would really be digging his own grave. The power of 10 Das on Gu Fei's body was vast and mighty, as if there were 10 Supremes fighting inside his body, and the power of 10 Das caused a phenomenon in the sky. Just as Gu Fei was trying to fuse the 10 Das into one and walk the path of Tao transformation, a long roar suddenly came from the depths of the Tian clan's ancestral grounds. The terrifying roar instantly spread throughout the entire Tian clan's ancestral grounds. Even the other regions outside the Tian clan's ancestral grounds could hear it. What happened? The other cultivators outside the Tian clan's ancestral grounds all turned to look in the direction of the Tian clan's ancestral grounds in shock. Soon after, the roar was still lingering in the air. A huge figure appeared high up in the sky, looking down at the entire world. When the clansmen of the Tian clan saw this scene, they were all incomparably excited. The old ancestor was finally going to take that legendary step. At this time, the essence energy from all directions crazily gathered towards the Tian clan's old clan master and was continuously devoured by him. The figure in the sky, which was countless times larger than a mountain, actually gradually became more solid. In the Tian clan's ancestral grounds, the members of the Tian clan were evacuating. When all the clansmen of the Tian clan moved out, the Tian clan's old clan master no longer suppressed his aura. The entire world exploded, and the primal chaos energy was directly shot out. Whether it was Gu Fei or the Tian clan's old clan master, their goal was the same. They both wanted to take that step. The great formation of the Tian clan's ancestral grounds immediately began to operate, sealing the Tian clan's old clan master's aura within the Tian clan's ancestral grounds, preventing this kind of extreme Tao aura from spreading out. Old ancestor, you must succeed. The other sovereign of the Tian clan stared at the figure in the ancestral grounds from afar, his expression extremely solemn. Gu Fei had defeated the Tian clan's old clan master, which meant that the Tian clan's position as the #1 power in the southern region was in danger. If the Tian clan's old clan master could transcend the extreme Tao and become a truly invincible existence, then the unlucky one would be Gu Fei. The news of the shocking phenomenon that had appeared in the seclusion grounds of the 2 strongest experts of the southern region spread, shocking the entire world. It had been a long time since anyone in the ancestral realm attempted to break through to that legendary realm. Only now did someone attempt to transcend the extreme Tao, and it wasn't just one person. In an instant, the attention of all the major powers in the ancestral realm landed on the southern region. Who will succeed this time? Or will no one succeed at all? There were sovereigns conversing. Once a sovereign's divine sense was released, it could instantly envelop a boundless region, and they could communicate with sovereigns of other regions. This time, practically all the sovereigns in the ancestral realm were alarmed. Even some super old monsters jumped out, causing people to be greatly surprised. In truth, there were many sovereigns in the ancestral realm who were stuck in the extreme Tao secret realm. Since ancient times, no one had ever succeeded, they had all failed. The consequences of failure were extremely severe. Even if they didn't die, they would be crippled, and even if they weren't completely crippled, they would be half-crippled, falling from the extreme Tao realm. This was a major matter that all the sovereigns paid attention to. If someone succeeded, the power structure of the entire ancestral realm would be reshuffled. Whoever could truly surpass the extreme Tao realm would become the realm lord of the ancestral realm, invincible in a realm. That was true invincibility, unrivaled in a realm. In the ancestral realm, there had never been an unrivaled existence who could sweep through a realm. In other words, there had never been a realm lord in the ancestral realm. No one can succeed. The end of the extreme Tao realm is already the end. There can't be a higher realm. Some of the supremes of the older generation said disdainfully, "No one has ever succeeded. Who can be an exception?" Someone supported this view. "You can't say it like that. I know someone who walked an unconventional path and achieved transcendence." Someone had a different view. That can also be considered as transcending the extreme Tao realm? Some old sovereigns didn't think so. In the Lost Lands, Yi Qingtian and the peerless evil ancestor walked an unconventional path. Even Gu Fei felt that there was something wrong with that path. As expected, the old celestial clan lord's aura soon became unstable. However, he still persisted. On the contrary, Gu Fei's aura was very stable. 10 streams of energy collided unceasingly as the 10 phantoms in the sky battled endlessly. 10 streams of energy spread out, actually showing signs of fusing together. Grand Mist energy could refine the essence of the heavens. With the Grand Mist phantoms as the center, the 9 phantoms actually formed some sort of connection. This connection was very subtle, forming a mysterious and unfathomable force, as if a single strand of energy could suppress the myriad Taos in the world. Perhaps this was the power of Taoless. Taoless could suppress Taoless. Perhaps this was the logic behind it. Of course, all of this was Gu Fei's deduction. There was no proof. In Gu Fei's view, this was the true Tao. The extreme Tao was also a Tao. Even if one cultivated to the end of the Tao, it was still within the scope of the Tao. Taoless was absolutely beyond the Tao. The seclusion of Gu Fei and the old celestial clan lord triggered a huge debate among the extreme Tao supremes. Almost all the extreme Tao supremes were alarmed. Even the supremes of the other regions spoke out. They were all watching. This was because there was no path ahead. But now, all the supremes seemed to see a path appearing in front of them. All the supremes could no longer sit still. Time passed. At the original location of the Lightning Lake, 10 blurry figures were still fighting endlessly. This battle lasted for a month, and it showed no signs of stopping. And in the ancestral land where the old celestial clan lord was, the old celestial clan lord's aura could no longer be sensed. Just when everyone thought that the old celestial clan lord had failed, his aura suddenly erupted once more, shaking the heavens. The old celestial clan lord's state seemed to be very strange. This surprised all the supremes. Could it be that this former number 1 supremacy of the southern region had chosen an alternative path of transcendence? Transcendence like Yi Qingtian wasn't true transcendence. Although he could suppress the myriad Taos in the world, he still relied on merging with the heavenly Tao to do so. Once he left the heavenly Tao, he would immediately return to his original state. But Gu Fei was different. He had always been domineering, and had never thought of walking the path of transcendence like Yi Qingtian. Just how much longer does Master need before he stops? Outside the region sealed by the mountain and river cauldron, Supremacy Black Wind asked in shock. For the past month, the 6 Supremes had been guarding outside, not daring to take a single step away. It must be known that whether Gu Fei succeeded or failed, it was closely related to them. This was because Gu Fei had planted a forbidden technique on them. If Gu Fei died, they would also be buried with him. At this time, the Li and Chu clans didn't dare to act rashly. Li Changtian even taught his useless third brother a lesson, punishing him to reflect on his mistakes. As for the Chu clan, old eccentric Chu made a rare statement, ordering all the disciples to absolutely not clash with Gu Fei. Anyone who dared to defy him would be expelled from the Chu clan. After Gu Fei defeated old eccentric Chu, he had already shown mercy by not directly slaughtering his way into the Chu clan's ancestral grounds. Moreover, Gu Fei was in seclusion. With an extreme saint artifact and 6 supremes protecting him, who would dare to casually attack Gu Fei? Although no one was optimistic about Gu Fei's chances, who could guarantee that Gu Fei wouldn't succeed? The entire southern domain of the primogeniture realm was shrouded in a tense atmosphere. It could even be said that swords were drawn and bows were drawn. Some factions had already begun to move. The Li and Chu clans had also made their corresponding preparations. Chapter 39-20. The seclusion of Gu Fei and the Celestial Clan Master affected the hearts of countless Supremes in the ancestral realm. All the Supremes were watching. One had to know that if someone could truly surpass the extreme Tao and become the legendary eternal ruler, it would be a major event that would change the history of the ancestral realm. However, many people didn't have much hope for this, because since ancient times, many heaven-defying existences had appeared in the ancestral realm. Even an existence more stunning than the Celestial Clan Master failed. Could it be that Gu Fei and the Celestial Clan Master were even stronger than those predecessors? There were too many people who failed, so much so that the Supremes of the ancestral realm were in despair. Of course, many Supremes believed that there was still a path at the end of the extreme Tao, but no one had ever been able to surpass it. At this time, there were still no signs of Gu Fei and the Celestial Clan Master coming out. However, their auras gradually changed, especially the Celestial Clan Master. His aura became very strange. The Celestial Clan Master's aura was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. When it was weak, it was as if it was about to disappear. When it was strong, it shook the heavens. It was absolutely terrifying. The Celestial Clan Master's aura had long been empty. All the disciples of the Celestial Clan had already left. Only the Celestial Clan Master was in seclusion. Rumble. The Celestial Clan Master's aura instantly became extremely powerful. The great Tao of the heavens was completely suppressed. It was as if he had successfully broken free. At this moment, the divine souls of countless Supremes trembled. This was a suppression that surpassed everything, a complete suppression. In front of this divine might, even Supremes of the extreme Tao had to lower their heads. Only existences at Yi Qingtian's level could barely withstand it. However, how many existences like Yi Qingtian were there in the ancestral realm? However, this divine might from the Celestial Clan Master only lasted for less than an hour before suddenly disappearing. It was as if it had never appeared. This is so strange. The Celestial Clan Master is most likely going to be unlucky. Someone said something like that. No one was optimistic about the Celestial Clan Master. This way, those who had offended Gu Fei would also be unlucky, especially the Li clan and the Chu clan. I hope that Gu Fei doesn't succeed. The Li clan's third progenitor appeared outside Gu Fei's seclusion grounds. His expression was incomparably grave. He wanted to ask his elder brother to take advantage of Gu Fei's seclusion to deal with Gu Fei. However, Li Changtian taught him a lesson instead, and even punished him to reflect on his mistakes. However, this guy had only faced the wall for a few days before he slipped away. The second primogenitor's figure appeared beside the third primogenitor, grabbing him with one hand. "Follow me back." The second progenitor of the Li clan said solemnly. "Second brother, you." The third ancestor of the Li clan was unhappy. He had been controlled by the first ancestor and the second ancestor all his life. They were always a hindrance to everything he did. This made him extremely depressed. "You what you? You dare to disobey boss? Be careful. Boss might seal you in the ancestral vein for 10,000 years out of anger." The second progenitor of the Li clan frowned. "Second brother, can you leave me alone?" The third ancestor of the Li clan said angrily, "Leave you alone? If we didn't, you would have been beaten to death by Gu Fei long ago." The second ancestor of the Li clan said angrily, His younger brother didn't have any other abilities, but he was very good at causing trouble. If it weren't for him and his elder brother protecting him, he would have died countless times already. Boom. At this moment, an even greater divine might erupted from Gu Fei's seclusion grounds. The entire world shook, and pitch-black spatial cracks appeared like black lightning bolts wreaking havoc. This, the third ancestor of the Li clan, was extremely shocked. He felt like his soul was about to collapse, and his skin felt like it was about to split open. He had no choice but to retreat even further. How is this possible? The second ancestor of the Li clan was also stunned. This kind of divine might had already surpassed the extreme Tao. It was the pressure of a different realm, suppressing all the other supremes. Did he succeed? One of the Paragon old-timers said something like that. Impossible. This is simply impossible. A supreme muttered to himself in a daze. However, this kind of divine might that reigned above the myriad Daos was absolutely not fake. Even the supremes from other regions were bewildered. They were all existences of the extreme Tao. At their level of cultivation, they could already sense that there might be a higher realm than extreme supremes. However, this feeling was illusory and very surreal. They didn't know where to start or how to comprehend this realm. But now, they saw hope. They felt like the clouds had parted to reveal the blue sky. Buzz. The mountain and river cauldron that enveloped the world shook constantly as if it was about to soar into the sky. Ancient Tao runes appeared on the cauldron. Every rune was releasing the powerful power of the great Tao of primordial chaos. However, although the great Tao of primordial chaos was strong, it was still within the realm of Das. The divine might released by Gu Fei had surpassed Das. At this time, even the mountain and river cauldron couldn't withstand it. This Tao treasure. All the supremes were shocked. The mountain and river cauldron's aura was too powerful. It could actually suppress the Tao aura that erupted from Gu Fei's body. It seems like a supreme antique who had lived for countless years suddenly had his eyes lit up. He seemed to have thought of something and his expression changed. Gu Fei, you little be asterisk starred. Your grandfather can't hold on any longer. A disheveled old man rushed out of the mountain and river cauldron and started yelling the moment he came out. The spectating supremes were so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. This guy actually dared to speak to a peerless villain like Gu Fei, a supreme killer? One had to know that ever since Gu Fei successfully passed the sovereign heavenly tribulation and became a supreme, he had continuously defeated supremes. Even the Wood clan, one of the 5 elements divine clans, was annihilated by him. The old clan leader of the Sky clan, Li Changtian, and Old Monster Chu were all defeated by him. Even the old clan leader of the Sky clan wouldn't dare to speak to Gu Fei like this. Just as the disheveled old man finished speaking, an item immediately flew out from the void sealed by the mountain and river cauldron and was caught by the disheveled old man. Haha, this is different. The disheveled old man laughed and immediately took out the item in his hand. In the next moment, it was as if the power of the great Tao in the universe was drawn over. Countless divine lights descended from the sky and directly entered the item in the disheveled old man's hand. Then, a pitch-black roulette flew out from his hand, instantly becoming much larger than a mountain, enveloping the entire world. A godly might that wasn't any weaker than the mountain and river cauldron, and even surpassed it, spread out from the wheel in the sky. The wheel of the heavens and realms? All the supremes in the primogenitor realm were shocked. They never expected Gu Fei to hand the wheel of the heavens and realms to an artifact spirit to use. The moment the wheel of the heavens and realms appeared, almost all the supremes were envious. This was the publicly acknowledged number 1 Tao artifact in the primogenitor realm. It could gather the power of the heavens and unleash godly might that could destroy the world. In particular, the legends regarding the wheel of the heavens and realms tempted these supremes even more. Whoever obtained the wheel of the heavens and realms would have the chance to become the ruler of the primogenitor realm. However, no matter how envious they were, no one dared to make a move. Be it the mountain and river cauldron or the wheel of the heavens and realms, the power that they unleashed was too strong. Ordinary supremes would be destroyed before they could even get close to these 2 Tao artifacts. Even the supremacies in the extreme mystic realm didn't dare to take the risk. It wouldn't be worth it if they ended up dying just to fight for the wheel of the heavens and realms. Although there was the risk of death for Supremes, theoretically, the lifespan of Supremes was already unlimited. The death of Supremes wasn't because of their lifespan, but because of their power. For Supremes, they wouldn't die if they didn't court death themselves. Even for the Supremes killed by Gu Fei, if they hadn't offended Gu Fei right from the start, Gu Fei definitely wouldn't have killed them for no reason. At that moment, the second and third primogenitors of the Li clan were filled with regret. If they hadn't offended Gu Fei, the Li clan wouldn't have faced the danger of being exterminated. Once Gu Fei succeeded in crossing the Supreme Tao and became the first existence in history to do so, he would most likely attack the Li clan. At that moment, the power of the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms was displayed. The power of the heavens and realms surged from the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms and immediately suppressed the power of the Supreme Tao that erupted from Gu Fei's body. The primordial power of the mountain and river cauldron and the power of the myriad realms guided by the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms immediately blocked the power of the Supreme Tao that erupted from Gu Fei's body. Master is going to succeed? The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were surprised and delighted. Haha, the primogenitor realm is going to be our world. The Black Wind Supreme laughed out loud, attracting the attention of the other Supremes. Master hasn't truly succeeded yet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms. The Thunder Tao Supreme frowned. He didn't feel any heartache over the destruction of the Lightning Lake because he had already moved away the Lightning Ancestral Earth Vein beneath the Lightning Lake. With the Lightning Ancestral Earth Vein, he could rebuild the Lightning Lake. However, the fact that Gu Fei was going to use the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms shocked the Thunder Tao Supreme. Hearing the Thunder Tao Supreme's words, the faces of the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others immediately turned solemn. Their fates were already tightly tied to Gu Fei. If Gu Fei perished, they would also perish. However, if Gu Fei could become the first person in history to break free from the Supreme Tao, their status would also rise. The primogenitor realm would really become their world. What's going on? Less than an hour after Gu Fei used the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms, the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms was actually shaken by the mighty power of the Supreme Tao and was shaking non-stop. What? Even the Wheel of the Heavens and Realms can't suppress it? Seeing this scene, all the Supremes were dumbfounded. Chapter 39:21. Even the mountain and river cauldron and the Wheel of myriad celestial realms were incapable of suppressing the aura surging out from Gu Fei's body. The two most powerful Tao artifacts shook violently, seemingly on the verge of being blown away. How is this possible? The Li clan's third ancestor was shocked. If the current Gu Fei wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. The Chu clan supreme's expression changed. The stronger Gu Fei was, the more impossible it was for them to survive. They had already offended Gu Fei. Is he really going to take that step? An old monster among the supreme beings said this. Gu Fei and the celestial race? 1C84? The clan leader's seclusion had alarmed all the supremes in the primogenitor's realm. Even those old supremes who had long since ceased to care about worldly affairs jumped out. This guy, the Chu clan's old monster Chu, appeared in the sky. He stared at the extremely chaotic space in front of him, and the sun, moon, and stars seemed to sink in his eyes. Someone saw Li Changtian's figure appearing nearby. Li Changtian also came. He hid in the dark and observed Gu Fei. He also wanted to break through the extreme Tao and become a true invincible expert who surpassed all existences. Different from the Tian clan's old clan master, Gu Fei's aura was extremely strong from start to finish. Buzz. The space shook. Roar. In the middle of the void that was sealed by the mountain river cauldron and the Wheel of myriad realms, Gu Fei roared towards the sky. Terrifying sound waves spread out and ancient Tao patterns exploded in the void. The mountain and river cauldron and the Wheel of Worlds shook violently. They were about to be shaken away. At this critical moment, a demonic pagoda and a divine sword flew out. The demonic pagoda became as large as a mountain, suppressing the area. The divine sword also emitted astonishing waves of sword chi. The formless sword chi enveloped the entire area and sealed it. It was the heavenly demon pagoda and the myriad god ancestral sword. Once these two supreme Tao treasures appeared, the cauldron of mountain and river and the wheel of myriad realms that were about to be sent flying stabilized again. The four sovereign Tao artifacts floated in the four directions. At the same time, the vast and powerful sovereign energy finally suppressed the supreme power that was surging out from Gu Fei's body. When they saw this scene, all of the nearby supreme beings were stupefied, finding this hard to believe. For great Tao artifacts, that was definitely comparable to four great supreme lords. This was especially true for the wheel of the myriad realms and the cauldron of mountains and rivers. Even supremacies might not be able to compete with these two great Tao artifacts. As for the heavenly demon tower, it was a supreme demonic tool that was jointly refined by the 12 ancestral demons of the ancestral demon realm. It was known as the number 1 demonic tool in the ancestral demon realm, so the power of the heavenly demon tower was naturally not to be underestimated. As for the 10,000 gods ancestral sword, it was the number 1 divine artifact in the ancestral god realm. Its power was no weaker than the heavenly devil tower. In fact, it might even surpass it. At this time, the four great super Tao artifacts displayed their might at the same time. Even an existence like the old Tian clan master had to kneel before them. In front of these four great Tao artifacts, the other supreme beings were as weak as ants. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. The energy waves that erupted from Gu Fei's body became even stronger, actually shaking the four great Tao artifacts. This gave all of the watching supreme beings quite a fright. At this time, Gu Fei's essence, breath, and spirit had already been fused into one. The 10 great phantoms that were fighting endlessly in the sky became even more illusory, as if they were about to disappear into the void. The power of the 10 paths actually began to fuse. This was unbelievable to everyone. Gu Fei's essence, breath, and spirit began to fuse into the power of the 10 paths. The power of the 10 paths gradually fused with his mental energy, circulating wildly in his body. The power of the 10 paths fused with Gu Fei's essence, breath, and spirit. After circulating countless times in his body, the power gathered at the top of his head. He wanted to leap out, rush out of the top of his head, and transcend everything. The power of the 10 paths within Gu Fei's body was gradually changing his physique. His physical body was undergoing a subtle yet thorough transformation. His physical body was gradually transforming into an eternal body. Gu Fei immersed himself in cultivation. He didn't care about anything happening in the outside world. Time continued to pass. Unknowingly, he had already been in seclusion for a year. The 10 paths finally turned into the tyrannical Tao. Gu Fei's body no longer had the slightest bit of Tao aura. The power of eternity condensed on his body. Every single move he made contained great might. The power of eternity wanted to rush out of his body, but it failed time and time again. It was as if there was a towering mountain in front of him that he couldn't climb. After Gu Fei's power turned into the tyrannical Tao, the pressure that emanated from his body gradually weakened. In the end, this aura even disappeared. Did he succeed or fail? The spectating Supremes were all guessing nervously. In the end, everything returned to nothingness. A figure sat in the void. The four supreme Tao treasures turned into 4 rays of divine light that rushed into this figure. Gu Fei. When the Supremes of the Li clan and Chu clan saw the figure in the void, they couldn't help but feel fearful. No one knew exactly how powerful this peerless savage was. Over the past year, the primogenitor's realm had been in turmoil. Various heroes fought for supremacy. The entire primogenitor's realm was gradually thrown into chaos. If it was completely thrown into chaos, it would definitely be a disaster for the countless living beings in the primogenitor's realm. What's going on? Everyone was extremely curious. However, no one dared to step forward and provoke Gu Fei. In particular, the Li clan's 3rd ancestor and 2nd ancestor carefully sized up the figure floating in the void. Boom! Just when no one dared to make a move, a ball of demonic lightning descended from the sky and blasted the figure. In the next moment, the demonic destructive power that erupted was actually devoured by Gu Fei's physical body. How is this possible? The voice of one of the Chu clan's elders was trembling. Just as Gu Fei devoured the demonic lightning, a sea of lightning appeared in the sky. Endless lightning bolts were wreaking havoc. They were like black lightning that flashed for a moment before reappearing again. Gu Fei, how dare you kill the supremacies of my primogenitor demon territory? Go to hell. An angry roar came from the sky. The sea of lightning directly obliterated Gu Fei. Everywhere it passed, the void was constantly annihilated. The primogenitor demon had arrived. Gu Fei suddenly raised his head. Then, he opened his mouth and inhaled. The terrifying sea of demonic lightning was actually devoured by him. Damn it! An angry roar came from the depths of the sky. Then, a huge demonic figure appeared in the sky. A huge hand that was even larger than a mountain grabbed at Gu Fei. You're courting death. Gu Fei sneered and waved his sleeve. The demonic figure immediately vanished into thin air, as if it had never been there. Kill. Shocking killing intent erupted. The extremely powerful demonic figures stepped out of the void and attacked Gu Fei. Come on, what's there to be afraid of? Gu Fei stood up in the void and stared at the demonic figures that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Then, he opened his mouth and inhaled. A heaven-devouring power immediately surged out. Countless demonic figures were directly devoured by Gu Fei. Gu Fei's inhalation seemed to be devouring the entire world. Go. In the sky, the guy who had not shown himself all this time wanted to escape. Come out. Gu Fei stretched out his hand and grabbed at the sky with his 5 fingers. His 5 fingers closed and shrouded a part of the world. A figure was caught by Gu Fei's grab. You can't kill me. The demonic figure begged for mercy and fear. However, Gu Fei did not care at all. He directly grabbed the monstrous demonic figure and destroyed his body and soul. You're just a little demon from the ancestor demon territory. How dare you come here and act presumptuously? 111C, Gu Fei said indifferently. Everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air when they saw this. Gu Fei's cultivation and battle prowess had actually risen once again. At this moment, he would be able to kill an honorable existence with a single hand. An ordinary supreme was as weak as an ant in front of Gu Fei. Gu Fei, eat my sword. At this moment, a furious roar resounded from afar. After that, an extremely dazzling sword light swept towards Gu Fei. It was as if the heavens and the earth had been split into two by the sword light. This kind of sword chi could destroy everything. It was the power of the emotion destroyer swordsmanship. This was a cultivation force outside the southern region. This emotion destroyer swordsman did not think that Gu Fei would be his opponent. What extreme path legend? It was all bullshit. Although emotion destroyer swordsman had seen how powerful Gu Fei was and how he could kill a supreme demon with one hand, he knew that he could also do it. A sword strike could destroy everything. However, Gu Fei casually stretched out his right hand and flicked the extinction sword light. The next moment, the extinction sword light collapsed inch by inch. The power directly passed from the sword light to emotion destroyer swordsman's hand that was holding the sword. Then, emotion destroyer swordsman was unlucky. His hand that was holding the sword also exploded, followed by a small part of his body. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. No one expected Gu Fei to be so powerful with just a flick of his finger. This was simply the rhythm of killing a supreme with a flick of his finger. Could he really have transcended? Those old supreme beings who had lived for countless years were extremely excited at this moment. They seemed to have witnessed the birth of a miracle. Gu Fei had pointed out a cultivation path for them, a path that could allow them to transcend. However, these old supreme beings felt that Gu Fei's aura was a little strange, but they could not find any problems at the moment. There was a secret on Gu Fei's body that no one knew about. This secret could drive people crazy. However, although everyone was extremely curious, they did not dare to offend Gu Fei. There's actually a path at the end of the extreme path. Old Monster Chu, Li Changtian, and other supremes of this level all saw hope. However, so what if they saw hope? If they wanted to take that step, they still had to rely on themselves. Chapter 39-22. In the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan, A figure sat cross-legged in the chaos as if it had existed since ancient times. It was motionless and breathless like a stone statue. After an unknown period of time, the figure suddenly opened its eyes and let out a long howl towards the sky. In the next moment, a sound wave immediately spread out in all directions with this figure as the center. Everything in the wake of the sound wave instantly turned into dust. The ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan had been strengthened by the supreme powerhouses of the Sky Clan for generations. They had set up layers of extreme Tao protective formations. However, under the impact of the sound wave, countless protective formations dissipated one after another. Countless Tao patterns were directly turned into nothingness. Even the most powerful extreme Tao formation could not withstand 2 breaths of time. It directly collapsed. Countless ancient formation patterns were directly annihilated by the sound wave. Mountains disappeared from the ground just like that. The sacred land was instantly turned into ruins. Even the ancestral veins of the earth were affected. A sonorous sound came from the depths of the earth. The ancestral earth vein in the depths of the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan turned into an ancestral dragon and directly fled. The ancestral earth vein was originally bound under the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan. Now, the current clan leader of the Sky Clan used a secret technique to release the ancestral earth vein. If he did not release the ancestral earth vein, the ancestral earth vein would probably not be able to be preserved. On a mountain peak 100,000 miles away from the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan, a white-robed young man looked in the direction of the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan with a solemn expression. This young man was Tianqian. He had always been by the side of the old clan leader of the Sky Clan. The elders of the Sky Clan were grooming him as the next clan leader. Tianqian's talent was absolutely heaven-defying. He was the #1 person in the younger generation of the Sky Clan. He had cultivated for a much shorter time than the older generation of the Sky Clan, but he was already a supreme. Old ancestor succeeded? At this moment, the Sky Clan powerhouses nearby were all surprised and happy. If the old ancestor successfully took that step, not only would the Sky Clan become the #1 power in the southern region, but the old clan leader would also be able to rule over the entire ancestral realm. The ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan could be considered to be completely destroyed. That sound wave broke through everything. Countless mountains collapsed and turned into dust. However, the Tian clan elders did not feel any heartache at all. If the old ancestor really succeeded in taking that step, let alone the heavenly clan's ancestral land, even if the entire southern territory was destroyed, the heavenly clan's elders would not feel any heartache. At this moment, a figure walked out from the chaos. This person had a head full of white hair and tattered clothes. It was the Tian clan's old clan lord. An astonishing change was happening to the Tian clan's old clan lord. The old Tian clan lord's white hair quickly turned black, the wrinkles on his face quickly disappeared, and his entire person became younger. The surrounding Tian clan warriors were all dumbstruck as they watched this scene. In the end, the old Tian clan lord became a young man in his early 20s, much younger than Tianqian. And what truly shocked the experts of the Tian clan was that even the lord could not see through the depths of the Tian clan's old lord. This could only mean one thing, and that was that the old lord's cultivation was far above theirs. The celestial race's current clan master was a peak supreme being, exceptionally powerful. Today, when I come out of seclusion, I will be invincible. The Tian clan's old clan lord looked up at the sky, his gaze becoming incomparably deep. Following that, he directly grabbed towards the void, and the earth ancestral vein that had escaped earlier was actually directly captured by him. It quickly shrunk and was caught in his hand. When the experts of the Tian clan saw this, they could not help but be moved. The earth ancestral chi contained within the Tian clan's ancestral land was something that even an ordinary sovereign would not be able to suppress. Even if the current clan lord of the Tian clan were to take action, it would be difficult for him to capture this earth ancestral vein so easily. At this time, it was as if the Tian clan's old clan lord's hand was grabbing onto an ancestral dragon. The dragon-shaped earth vein was constantly struggling in his hand, wanting to escape. However, all of this was futile. A powerful force emerged from the Tian clan's old clan lord's hand, and the dragon-shaped earth vein in his hand immediately quietened down. The experts of the Tian clan were astonished once again. The old ancestor could easily suppress the earth ancestral vein. Such a method definitely surpassed the extreme path mystic realm. Just as the Tian clan's old clan lord came out of seclusion, the heaven and earth essence within a radius of billions of miles frantically gathered towards Gu Fei's place of seclusion. Above the sky, in the void, rays of spiritual light rushed towards Gu Fei from all directions, and then directly entered his body. Today, I shall become eternal, Gu Fei roared angrily. In the next moment, a divine light rushed out from his head, directly breaking through the sealing power of the four great supreme Tao treasures, and went straight up to the 9 heavens. Rumble. A mighty pressure spread out, directly suppressing the power of the 10,000 realms. The mountain and river cauldron, myriad deities' ancestral sword, heavenly demon pagoda, and myriad realms wheel all fell from the sky, directly smashing into the depths of the earth. The nearby sovereigns all vomited blood and flew backwards. Within the divine light, a figure was faintly discernible. All the sovereigns felt their souls tremble. The mighty pressure from the divine light directly suppressed the sovereigns, forcing them to lower their heads. In the next moment, the figure bathed in the eternal light directly rushed down from the sky. With a boom, it directly rushed into their physical bodies. Then, the eternal light filled their entire bodies. Their flesh, blood, tendons, and bones were all changing, transforming towards eternity. The eternal martial body was absolutely terrifying. His momentum is already complete. Even if Big Brother makes a move, it will be useless. The Li clan's third progenitor sighed. Previously, he had wanted to ask his big brother to take advantage of the fact that Gu Fei was in seclusion to catch him off guard and kill him. However, his big brother was unwilling to make a move. At this time, even if his big brother was willing to make a move, it was already too late. Those who had some grudges with Gu Fei were miserable. Very soon, a divine cocoon formed from the eternal power appeared in front of everyone. Very soon, a divine cocoon formed from the eternal power appeared in front of everyone. When the shooting sun supremacy and the others saw this scene, they were all stunned. Master is going to succeed? The dark path supremacy's voice was trembling as he said this. The people of the Chu clan and the Li clan retreated immediately. Gu Fei was going to surpass the extreme Tao and become the legendary eternal celestial lord or realm lord. That legendary realm was the eternal realm. Gu Fei might become an existence in the eternal realm. In the primogenitor's realm, there had never been an existence of this level. The eternal realm, an existence that could not be destroyed by myriad tribulations. Even if the world was destroyed, he would not die. At this moment, a figure appeared in front of the divine cocoon formed by Gu Fei. This person was very young. Judging from his appearance, he was only about 20 years old. He was the Sky Clan's old clan leader who had just come out of seclusion. He directly came before the divine cocoon. The Sky Clan's old clan leader only took a look at the divine cocoon before directly disappearing into the void, vanishing without a trace. No one knew that this fellow was actually the Sky Clan's old clan leader. Although Gu Fei had transformed into a cocoon, the 4 great Super Tao treasures were still present. 4 beams of divine light rushed out, and each beam of divine light wrapped around a Super Tao treasure. However, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others could not find Gu Fei, and there was only one reason. Gu Fei had left the ancestral realm's southern region and headed for another region. Although the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were powerful, it was difficult for them to cover the entire ancestral realm. Time passed. 1 month, half a year, 2 years. Chapter 39-23. Gu Fei and the Tian clan leader actually disappeared. This caused countless supremes in the primogenitor realm to feel incredulous, because everyone thought that the 2 of them had surpassed the extreme Tao. Existences that surpassed the extreme Tao were definitely the strongest existences in the primogenitor realm. They were sector lords that were invincible in the primogenitor realm. However, no one expected that not only Gu Fei, even the Tian clan leader had disappeared. No one could find them, as if they were no longer in this world. Gu Fei had conquered a large territory in the southern region of the primogeniture realm. But now, he actually abandoned this territory and left? And the Tian clan leader was Nan? B68? He was the pillar of the Tian clan. If he left, who could protect the Tian clan? The current Tian clan leader? Stop joking. Some people thought that Gu Fei and the Tian clan leader had only left temporarily, or that they were hiding. In the end, they would still return. When they returned, they would definitely attract the attention of the world. However, after 10 years, Gu Fei and the Tian clan leader still hadn't returned. There was no news at all. Hence, some people started to get restless. Haha, Gu Fei and the others must have failed. I wonder where they died. Someone said such words of schadenfreude. We don't know about Gu Fei, but our old ancestor's spirit tablet is still here. Our old ancestor is still alive and well. Someone from the Tian clan jumped out immediately. That person was slapped in the face. He immediately didn't dare to make a sound. Perhaps no one knew if Gu Fei was dead or alive, but the Tian clan's old clan master was definitely alive, because the Tian clan kept the old clan master's spirit tablet. If the Tian clan leader died, the spirit tablet would immediately shatter. But the Tian clan leader's spirit tablet was still intact. And precisely because of this, none of the forces in the southern region dared to attack the Tian clan. One had to know that once the Tian clan leader returned, they would all be in trouble. However, the forces left behind by Gu Fei were different. No one knew if Gu Fei was dead or alive. Shooting Sun Supreme, Thunder Path Supreme, and the others also didn't come out to say anything. However, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others still knew that Gu Fei was still alive. If Gu Fei had died, they would have been buried with him. Since they were all living well, Gu Fei was naturally living well as well. However, the Shooting Sun Supreme Being and the others did not say anything. This way, the various forces of the southern region would not hold back. The first to make things difficult was the Li clan. The third primogenitor of the Li clan made a move and wiped out a city controlled by the Shooting Sun supremacy. The millions of living beings in the city were completely annihilated. Even a quasi-supreme in the city couldn't escape. Under the bombardment of the Li clan's third primogenitor's hand, his body and soul were both destroyed. The Li clan really can't sit still anymore. Some people weren't surprised. It had been 10 years. The third primogenitor of the Li clan had been holding back for 10 years. It was time for him to vent his anger. This time, Li Changtian and the second primogenitor didn't stop the third primogenitor. They allowed him to make a move. They wanted to test the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others. Although Gu Fei left, he didn't take the Star Beast with him. That was an adult Star Beast. Its battle prowess was comparable to a supremacy. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others respected it as the Star Beast Venerable. With the Star Beast Venerable overseeing things, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others hadn't encountered any danger in the past 10 years. However, it was different now. Once the Li clan made a move, the other forces would flock over. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others felt an immense pressure. As expected, on the third day after the third primogenitor of the Li clan made his move, the Chu clan's Supreme Ling Xiao also made his move. B68 then, he made his move and split an ancient city under the Shooting Sun Supreme's control in half. UB** stars. When my master was around, you were all cowards. Now, you dare to come out and be arrogant? The Black Wind Supreme scolded. I don't even know where Gu Fei died. You'd better surrender obediently. That way, you might be able to keep your lives. Supreme Soaring Firmament of the Chu clan said these words. Preposterous. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were infuriated. This Supreme Ling Xiao was just a Dao child by old monster Chu's side. How dare he speak so arrogantly? My master will die? The Heavenly Wind Supreme sneered in response to Supreme Ling Xiao. At this time, the major forces of the southern region were ready to attack. Gu Fei had offended too many people. In an instant, it seemed like they were going to attack him together. Some mysterious and powerful figures began to appear near Supreme Zi Yang's Purple Sun Mountain. Because the ancestral land of the Shooting Sun Temple and the ancestral land of the Thunder Clan had been destroyed, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others could only temporarily stay at Supreme Zi Yang's Purple Sun Mountain. The Purple Sun Mountain was Supreme Z Yang's ancestral land. The Purple Sun sect was a super force in the southern region that had an extreme Tao supremacy overseeing it. However, the Purple Sun sect had attracted the attention of countless supremacies. However, those fellows didn't dare to attack the Purple Sun Mountain. In the back of the Purple Sun Mountain, a huge beast was sleeping soundly. Just as the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were in danger, in the eastern region of the Primogenitor realm, in a place called Stone Ox Town, a young hunter was carrying a wild boar on his back. Hee hee, Gufei, not bad. You hunted another wild boar. We'll have meat to eat tonight. At this moment, 3 young men in black walked over from the mountain path. These 3 young men in black were staring at the ordinary-looking young man called Gufei with a sinister smile. The 3 brothers of the Xing family? The young man called Gufei lifted his head and glanced at the 3 young men in black who were approaching him maliciously. The young man in black who was leading the group immediately reached out to snatch the black-furred wild boar that Gufei was carrying. The young man called Gufei didn't resist. He didn't say a word as he allowed these people to snatch the wild boar he had hunted. Hee hee, he's just a piece of trash, but he's quite good at hunting. The second brother of the Xing family, Xing Tian, said disdainfully, "Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and help us. We can have a pig feast tonight." The eldest brother of the Xing family said angrily, "Yes, yes, eldest brother." The second and third brothers of the Xing family hurried forward and helped the eldest brother carry away the wild boar that was supposed to belong to Gufei. This way, he would lose his dinner. Gufei was none other than Gufei from the southern domain. He had settled down in Stonebull Town, and during the past 10 years, he had been an ordinary hunter outside of Stonebull Town. 111 CBR, he returned to his own residence, a thatched hut he had built himself. He opened the wooden door, walked in, and lay down on his bed. The current Gufei wasn't the Gufei who had swept through the world and killed Supremes with a single hand. He was just a hunter outside of Stone Ox Town. He enjoyed this kind of peaceful life. When he was hungry, he would hunt to satisfy his hunger. When he was tired, he would sleep. He seemed to have forgotten everything in the past 10 years. "Gufei, are you there?" Someone called out to him from outside. Gufei abruptly sat up on his bed and opened the door. He saw a skinny, dark-skinned young man standing outside. He was barefoot and wearing animal skin clothing. He held a rabbit in his hand. "Aohu, it's you?" Gufei wasn't surprised to see the young man. This was the first and only friend he had made in Stone Ox Town in the past 10 years. The surname Ao was a big one in Stone Ox Town. The Ao race was the only cultivation clan in the town, and they were the rulers of the town. Ao, who was originally a direct descendant of the Ao race, but because he couldn't cultivate in the sky, he had wandered outside. He had already been forgotten by the direct descendants of the Ao race in Stone Ox Town. Who was Gufei? He could tell Aohu's constitution at a glance. Aohu had an Earth-type constitution, which made it difficult for him to cultivate the Ao race's cultivation methods. That was because the Ao race's cultivation methods were metal-type. The two mutually countered each other. Cultivating a metal-type cultivation method wouldn't be beneficial to Aohu, but rather harmful. It wasn't that Aohu wasn't suited for cultivation. On the contrary, he had a rare Earth-type constitution. Once he had a suitable cultivation method and a master to guide him, he would soar. The 3 Xing brothers have come to steal your prey again? They're really despicable. Aohu said viciously. Forget it. It's just some prey. Gufei waved his hand. Gufei, you haven't eaten anything yet, right? After saying that, Aohu threw the hair in his hand to Gufei. Gufei skillfully cleaned the hair and started a bonfire. He placed the hair on the bonfire and roasted it. Soon, the aroma of meat filled the air. Gufei, tomorrow, the Ao race's ancestral worship will be held. How about you accompany me to Stone Ox Town? Aohu stared at the fire and suddenly asked, "You want to go to Stone Ox Town?" Gufei couldn't help but be startled. He was very clear that Aohu no longer had any relationship with the Ao race in Stone Ox Town. Because Aohu's parents were no longer here, he was alone. The Ao race wouldn't accept him. Aohu was an abandoned pawn of the Ao race in Stone Ox Town. In fact, he wasn't even an abandoned pawn. As a member of the Ao race, Ao who naturally had the right to go. However, this also depended on whether or not the Ao race would allow it. There was no need to ask to know that the Ao race wouldn't let a piece of trash participate in their ancestral worship. Okay. Gu Fei saw that Ao who wasn't saying anything and directly nodded. Good brother. Ao who stared deeply at Gu Fei. He didn't want to return to the Ao race, but he wanted to take back his parents' belongings. Those were left to him by his parents, not the Ao race. This trip would be dangerous. It was very likely that they wouldn't be able to leave Stone Ox Town. However, Gu Fei still agreed to accompany him. This friendship made Ao who dare to make a move. At this time, the hair on the grill had been roasted until it was golden and glossy. The fragrance of meat wafted through the air. Gu Fei and Ao whose mouths twitched. They tore the meat from the grill and began to devour it in large bites. More than 10 kilograms of wild rabbit meat was quickly devoured by them. Gu Fei and Ao who were still unsatisfied. Ao who immediately grabbed the bow and arrows beside him and plunged into the forest. Soon, he returned with 2 wild hares. The next day, early in the morning, after Gu Fei and Ao who finished their preparations, they headed straight for Stone Ox Town. Very quickly, they arrived outside the town. The town was filled with a festive atmosphere. Everywhere was decorated with lanterns and banners, and brightly dressed Ao race disciples could be seen walking around. Come, let's go in. Chapter 39-24. The eastern region of the primogeniture world had always been a place where experts came from. Even now, the eastern region still had 13 kings of supremacy and 6 exalts fighting for supremacy. The eastern region was the strongest of the primogeniture realm's 5 regions, excluding the central region. After all, the southern region of the primogeniture realm only had 3 supremacies, but the eastern region had 6 supremacies, which was double the number of the southern region. This was only on the surface. Who knew if there were any hidden supremes in the eastern region? Gu Fei's Stone Ox Town was a small place under the rule of the Black Water Supreme King. It was located in the mountains in the north of the eastern region. It was a desolate area. B68 This uncivilized place was called Eastern Wasteland. The Eastern Wasteland was very large. Blackwater Supreme's territory only took up a small portion of it. Stone Ox Town was called Stone Ox Town because it was located at the foot of Stone Ox Mountain. That mountain was like a bull lying on the ground. In the Eastern Wasteland, Stone Ox Town's environment was not bad. It gave birth to a cultivation clan, the Ao race. Although the eastern wilderness of the eastern region was a barren land, there were still countless cultivators living there. The Ao race was just one of the countless cultivation powers in the Eastern Wasteland. With Stone Ox Town as the center, within 1,000 miles of the town, there was a human settlement. There were more than 100,000 people living there. The Ao race actually only numbered a few thousand, but they could rule this area. There was only one reason for this. The Ao race had a cultivation method. Even though it was a shallow one, it was enough to make the Ao race the strongest race in Stone Ox Town. At this time, because of the Ao race's ancestral worship ceremony, the scattered Ao race members had returned. Just as Gu Fei and Ao who were about to enter Stone Ox Town, they heard the sound of hooves behind them. They turned and saw a group of people riding black-scale colts appear on the main road. The leader was a middle-aged man in embroidered robes. He exuded the powerful aura of an immortal king. Immortal kings were nothing in the Eastern Wasteland, but in Stone Ox Town, they were almost invincible. Ao Hengxing? When Ao who saw this middle-aged man, his pupils instantly constricted. At this moment, Ao Hengxing had already brought a group of clansmen and arrived in front of Gu Fei and Ao Hu. The smoke and dust raised by the hooves of the horses blew towards them. Aren't you Ao Hu? Why are you back? Ao Hengxing sat on the black scale stallion and looked at Ao Hu coldly. Let's go. Ao Hu didn't care about Ao Hengxing. He turned around and walked towards the gate of Stone Ox Town. Oomph! Ao Hengxing rode his horse forward and stood in front of Gu Fei and Ao Hu. The people around him also dispersed and surrounded Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Ao Hu, I am your uncle. What kind of attitude is this? Ao Hengxing stared at Ao Hu and said coldly. Gu Fei was a little surprised when he heard that. This guy is Aohu's uncle? To put it bluntly, an uncle was a clansman of the same generation as Aohu's father. In terms of seniority, Aohu had to call Ao Hongxing uncle. However, Aohu knew that this uncle of his was one of the people who had tried to expel him from the Ao clan. In the end, although Aohu was not truly expelled from the Ao clan, he was expelled from Stone Ox Town. He could only be a hunter outside the town. 5B4R, what kind of attitude is this? You think you can be my uncle? Aohu lifted his head and looked at Ao Hongxing disdainfully. How dare you? Before Ao Hongxing could speak, a white-robed cultivator walked out from behind him. Aohu took a look and discovered that the white-robed young man was one of his cousins. His name was Ao Tsong, and he was only in his 30s, but he was already an immortal god. Within 1,000 miles of Stone Ox Town, there were only a dozen or so immortal gods and above. Within the Ao clan, there were only 5 immortal kings, and Ao Hongxing was one of them. Aohu was not even a demigod. His physique was incompatible with the Ao clan's cultivation method, so he could not cultivate the Ao clan's cultivation method. His current cultivation method was the most basic body refining technique in the primogenitor's realm. It was impossible for him to become an immortal. A cultivation method that could allow one's body to become an immortal was at least an immortal god. Kneel and apologize to uncle. Otherwise, die. Ao Tsong sat on the black scale horse, looking down at Aohu coldly. An icy, murderous aura emanated from his body. He was not joking. He really wanted to kill Aohu. This person, Gu Fei looked at him calmly. He could kill such an existence with a snap of his fingers. However, he did not want to do it now. Right now, Gu Fei was just an ordinary hunter near Stonebowl Town. 5B4, he had already sealed his own cultivation. However, this didn't mean that he didn't have any combat power. His cultivation base was sealed, but he still had a physical body that was so tyrannical that even a supremacy would feel despair. Gu Fei's body was no longer a vessel of the Great Tao. Instead, it was a true body that had jumped out of the 3 realms and was not part of the 5 elements. There were no traces of the Great Tao on his body. Actually, this was the eternal true body. It could exist forever, undying and indestructible. Gu Fei had such a powerful eternal true body. Even if his cultivation was sealed, no one could hurt him, not even those supremacies. What did you say? Aohu fiercely raised his head and stared at Ao Tsong. Suddenly, his gaze landed on Ao Tsong's waist. He saw that Ao Tsong had a saber strapped to his waist, a black-sheathed broadsword. The scabbard of the saber was engraved with a black dragon. Black dragon saber? When Aohu saw that blade, his eyes turned red. This was his father's inheritance, and Ao Tsong actually obtained it. What? You want to take it back? Ao Tsong coldly spoke. He noticed Aohu's expression and knew that Aohu had seen that saber. Black dragon saber, a high-grade immortal weapon. Even if it was given to you, a trash like you has no rights to use it. Ao Tsong continued. His tone was filled with disdain. This saber is mine. Aohu gritted his teeth. Why aren't you kneeling and apologizing? Ao Tsong couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this trash. His right hand was already B68. He grabbed the hilt. Ha ha ha. Aohu suddenly laughed. His heart was completely cold towards the Ao race. Ao Tsong actually wanted to use his father's saber to kill him. Kill. Ao Tsong didn't say anything more. A cold light shot out from his side and directly landed on Aohu's head. Cold saber chi permeated the air, and the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. He didn't even put Aohu, who wasn't even a demigod, in his eyes. A casual slash was enough to kill Aohu even without using immortal Tao energy. However, Ao Tsong didn't hear a scream. He only felt his hand shake. Looking down, he was shocked to see Aohu grabbing the black dragon saber with his bare hands. How is this possible? Everyone's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. They all looked at Aohu as if he was a monster. Ao Tsong wanted to retract the black dragon saber in Aohu's hand. However, the black dragon saber seemed to be a part of Aohu's hand, not moving at all. In the next moment, Ao Tsong felt his hand shake. The black dragon saber in his hand was snatched away by Aohu. Immortal Ascension? At this moment, even Ao Hengxing, the immortal king, was shocked. However, at this moment, Ao who grasped the black dragon blade and casually slashed out. An extremely sharp blade light instantly rushed out from the black dragon blade. In an instant, Ao Tsong and the black scale horse he was riding on were cleaved in half. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Even Ao Hengxing, the clan uncle, almost fell off the black scale stallion. You killed Ao Tsong? Ao Hengxing didn't expect that Ao who would dare to kill Ao Tsong. One should know that Ao Tsong was the next patriarch of the Ao tribe. But now, this next patriarch was dead. He died in the hands of a trash that was chased out of Stone Ox Town. He wanted to kill me. I had no choice but to kill him. Ao Tsong caressed the black dragon saber in his hand expressionlessly. This high-grade immortal weapon was vibrating lightly. Saber energy filled the air, full of spirituality. Gu Fei only watched quietly from the side. He had already seen through Ao whose cultivation. Immortal ascension was nothing in Gu Fei's eyes. Ao Hengxing was the golden ape war god of the Ao tribe in Stoneball Town. The celestial art of the golden ape was the top cultivation method of the Ao tribe. Legend had it that if this heavenly art was cultivated to the extreme, one could become an immortal emperor, walk out of Stoneball Town to a higher cultivation place, and join a powerful cultivation sect. The ancestral realm was the source of all worlds. The spiritual energy in the ancestral realm was extremely dense. Even in the eastern wasteland, the spiritual energy here was much denser than in the other worlds. Even those who did not know how to cultivate could live for hundreds of years under the constant nourishment of the spiritual energy in the ancestral realm. The human race had countless cultivation methods. After cultivating to the immortal realm, they would have an almost endless lifespan. Although Stoneball Town was a small place, it was not strange for a few immortal kings to appear. Boom! Ao Hu and Ao Hengxing collided with each other. A powerful shockwave spread in all directions. The cultivators of the Ao tribe who were riding on the black scale colts were all swept away. What? Ao Yu's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. There was someone in Stoneball Town who could fight against Ao Hengxing? Ao Hengxing was the war god of Stoneball Town. His cultivation and combat strength were extremely strong. Other than the old tribe leader of the Ao tribe, no one could be his opponent. Wait, what did Ao Hengxing say? Ao Hu? Could it be that abandoned son Ao Hu? Ao Yu was even more shocked when he thought of this. Ao Hu was an abandoned son of the Ao tribe. He was a trash who could not cultivate. Ever since Ao whose parents died in the war against the Eastern Baron tribe, Ao who was chased out of Stoneball Town, Ao whose parents died for the Ao tribe. Ao Yu also felt that the elders chased Ao who out of Stoneball Town. However, Ao Yu was only a servant of the old tribe leader. Although he had cultivated to the immortal realm, he did not have much status in the Ao tribe. The elders of the Ao tribe were either at the great success immortal realm or at the peak immortal realm. Ao Yu, on the other hand, was only at the initial stage immortal realm. In the world of cultivation, the strong preyed on the weak. Whoever had the harder fist was the boss. Now, Stoneball Town had someone who could fight against Ao Hengxing 5B4A powerful cultivator who was also an abandoned son of the Ao tribe. The Ao tribe was in big trouble now. Thinking of this, Ao Yu broke out in cold sweat. Swoosh! He turned into a ray of immortal light and flew towards the Ao tribe's ancestral temple. Haha! Today, I will fight to my heart's content. Ao who had suffered a lot these years. Now that his cultivation had reached the great success realm, he could finally vent his anger. Plus, he obtained the black dragon saber, which was obtained without any effort. Swoosh! Chapter 39-26. Ao who was extremely domineering, directly crippling Ao Hengxing. This caused all the Ao clan disciples who saw this scene to be extremely shocked. Rumble, Ao Hengxing, who was sent flying by Ao whose kick, smashed the gate of Stone Ox Town. This shocked everyone. Today was the Ao tribe's ancestral worship day. Someone actually dared to break the gate of Stone Ox Town and kill their way in. This shocked all the cultivators in Stone Ox Town. Everyone wanted to know who this guy was. At this time, the Ao tribe's current leader led a group of elders out of Stone Ox Town. The Ao tribe's leader was a middle-aged man in purple. He was tall and mighty, exuding a domineering aura. No matter where he stood, he exuded a domineering aura. This Ao tribe's leader was called Aoba, and he cultivated the fist of the tyrant war. Someone once saw Aoba shatter a mountain with one punch. Aohu, is it really you? When Aoba came out, he saw Aohu descending from the sky with the black dragon saber. A powerful aura emanated from his body, causing even Aoba, the Ao tribe's leader, to be moved. How is this possible? When the other Ao tribe elders saw Aohu, they were dumbfounded. He was just an abandoned child. How could he be so powerful? Could it be that he had a fortuitous encounter? This was impossible. Although Aohu had been chased out of Stone Ox Town, the Ao tribe had always kept an eye on him. Is this guy really Aohu? The Ao tribe's elders could not believe it. Aoba. When Aohu saw Aoba, his eyes brightened. How dare you call the tribe leader by his name? One of the Ao tribe's elders stared at Aohu and roared, "Imph, who are you? Who are you to speak here?" Aohu said disdainfully. He was no longer the abandoned child of the past. He still remembered clearly that when his parents had just died in battle, these people could not wait to chase him out of Stone Ox Town. These people were so heartless, so Aohu was naturally heartless to them. "Little guy, you've grown up? You dare to attack Stone Ox Town? Do you think you are invincible?" The other elder narrowed his eyes and stared at Aohu as he said coldly, "Although I am not invincible, I can kill you with one slash." Aohu did not even look at the elder as he casually said, "You." When the Ao tribe elder heard this, his face contorted in anger. "Aohu, this is the ancestral land of the Ao clan. As a disciple of the Ao clan, how dare you be so impudent here?" Aoba, the leader of the Ao race, stared at Aohu with a solemn expression and said, "Do you think I'm a disciple of the Ao tribe? My parents died in battle, and you chased me out of Stone Ox Town. Let me tell you, from the moment you chased me out of Stone Ox Town, I was no longer a member of the Ao tribe." Aohu glanced at the group of Ao tribe elders and said coldly, "Very good." A chilling murderous aura suddenly erupted from Aoba's body, and everyone's expression immediately changed. Haha, this is going to be a good show. When the cultivators outside of the Ao race saw this, they were all gloating. One has to know that they had always been suppressed by the Ao race and had no choice but to rely on them. If the Ao race fell, then they would be able to take over. Although Stone Ox Town was a small place, the Ao race was not the only cultivation force. There were other small forces that relied on the Ao race. For example, the Barbarian Tiger tribe, the Shin Demon tribe, and the Flying Wing tribe. These three great tribes were cultivation forces second only to the Ao race. Among them, there were immortal-level existences overseeing them, especially the Shin Demon tribe. The leader of the Shin Demon tribe was an expert at the phenomenal success of the immortal realm. "It's best if they both suffer," a Shin Demon cultivator said in a low voice. "In that case, leader, what are we waiting for? Let me destroy this arrogant little guy." A tall, skinny elder stared coldly at Aohu. "That's right. This little bastard dares to disrupt our ancestral worship ceremony. It's not too much to cut him into 1,000 pieces." A white, fat, bald elder gritted his teeth and said, "Come at me together." Aohu beckoned them over with a disdainful expression. "I alone am enough to kill you." At this moment, a similarly tall and fierce-looking clan elder walked out. "I don't want to kill, but there are always people who force me to." "Ai." Aohu let out a sigh. "Die." The elder roared and pounced at Aohu like a ferocious tiger. The ferocity of a tiger descending from the mountain was astonishing. "Die." Aohu didn't want to waste time with this guy. He slashed out with his blade. The next moment, an extremely sharp blade light flashed through the air. Then, the clan elder fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and stopped moving. "What?" Seeing this, everyone was extremely shocked. Aohu had really killed the clan elder with a single slash. This kind of cultivation and combat strength was enough to shock everyone present. "You, The elders behind Aoba were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They never imagined that whose combat ability would be this strong. Were we really wrong back then? The elders of the Ao race shook their heads with bitter smiles. Back then, no one would have thought that who would have such amazing abilities. But it was too late to regret. Damn it! Aoba, the elder of the Ao race, glared at the elder on the ground, then stepped forward. Bang! The entire ground shook. In the next moment, his fist had already smashed towards Aohu. His fist moved at high speed in the void, making a strange explosion sound. It was as if this punch, plus the air, was going to explode. Fist of the Tyrant War? Aohu was very familiar with the cultivation method of the Ao race. The Fist of the Tyrant War was extremely powerful. One punch had the power to shatter mountains. He blocked the punch and was forced to take 2 steps back. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Take my punch too. Aohu switched his blade to his left hand and punched with all his strength. Bang! The 2 fists collided against each other again. This time, it was 68. The opponent's fist directly exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. Aoba's scream rang out. How is this possible? He defeated Aoba? Even the Fist of the Tyrant War is no match for Gu Fei? Someone exclaimed. Isn't he the abandoned child of the Ao race? Oh, it's really him. I think his name is Aohu. Someone recognized Aohu. At this moment, Aohu charged right into the midst of the group of elders. In the next instant, all of them were sent flying. They were either killed or had something missing from their bodies. Chapter 39:27. The leader of the Ao race was called Aoba. He cultivated the tyrannical war godly fist. With a single punch, it could shatter mountains. However, this incomparably tyrannical leader of the Ao race couldn't even receive a single punch from Aohu. This caused all the elders to be extremely shocked. Aoba's cultivation could be said to be the strongest among them. Aside from the old clan leader, his cultivation was the highest. Aohu just wanted to retrieve his parents' belongings, but he didn't expect these people to want his life. In the past, he wouldn't have been a match for any of the Ao tribe's elders. But now, things were different. Aohu alone could sweep through Stone Ox Village. Aohu did not show mercy. He was no longer a member of the Ao tribe. From the moment the Ao tribe expelled him from Stone Ox Town, he was no longer a member of the Ao tribe. Kill. Aohu was like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain, directly charging into the midst of the Ao tribe's elders. In the next instant, the Ao clan's elders were all blasted flying, either dead or injured. None of them could take a single strike from him. Stop! Just as Aohu was about to kill his way into the town, a dignified and old voice suddenly rang out from within the town. Then, an old man walked out of Stone Ox Town, step by step. Behind him were countless disciples of the Ao tribe. Even Aoyu, an early-stage immortal god expert, was carefully accompanying him at his side. When Aohu saw this old man, he could not help being startled. This old man was the Ao race's old clan master, Ao Tsongming, who had lived for close to 1,000 years. He was the true ruler of the Ao race. Immortal Emperor? When Gu Fei saw the old man, he was a little surprised. He didn't think that a small place like Stony Ox Town would have an immortal emperor. This was an immortal emperor, not an immortal king like Ao Hongxing. A large group of Ao clan disciples followed behind Ao Tsongming. All the Ao clan disciples glared angrily at Aohu. This fellow actually dared to start a massacre here. Today was the day that the Ao tribe paid respects to their ancestors. Even the great enemies of the Ao tribe would not dare to attack at this time. However, today, 1C84, the person who had come to kill them was not one of the great enemies of the Ao tribe. Instead, it was a person that no one had expected. This person was an abandoned child of the Ao tribe, a person that was considered trash. How is this possible? Looking at Aohu, the Ao descendants who had come out of Stone Ox Town were all dumbfounded. Could it be that this fellow encountered some sort of fortuitous encounter? Aohu, the old ancestor is here. Don't you dare be impudent. An elder of the Ao tribe shouted at Aohu. Humph. Aohu couldn't be bothered to talk to these guys. At this time, Gu Fei looked at this scene indifferently. Aohu, you were too vicious. One of the elders looked at the mess in front of him, and his eyes turned red. The clan head Aoba was crippled, and at least 5 elders had died under Aohu's fists. There were even more injured. Even the Ao clan's golden ape battle god Ao Hengxing was crippled by Aohu. The patriarch had been crippled, the war god had been crippled, and the Ao tribe's overall strength had been reduced by more than half. This allowed the Ao tribe's enemies to take advantage of the situation. The other factions in the Stone Ox Town region were also gloating, happy to see the Ao tribe suffer. I'm too ruthless? Haha. Aohu was so angry that he laughed. If he had not encountered a fortuitous encounter and cultivated a body of skills, the one who died today would be him. Moreover, to the Ao tribe, if he died, then he died. No one would care. I'll kill whoever wants to kill me. Aohu swept a glance at the people before him and said coldly, How dare you? How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of our ancestor? Aoyu, who was by Ao Tsangming's side, said sternly, I don't care who he is. I'll kill whoever wants to kill me. Aohu didn't even give face to the Ao tribe's ancestor. As long as his fist was stronger than these people's, he had nothing to fear. Aohu, we let you down in the past. How about this? You return, and I will guarantee you the position of the Ao race's patriarch. How about it? The Ao race's old ancestor, Ao Tsangming, said after giving Aohu a deep look. What? When everyone heard that, they were all shocked, especially the Ao race's disciples. They all looked at Ao Tsangming in shock. Ao who killed Ao Tsang and the 5 elders, crippled patriarch Aoba, and crippled the Ao race's war god, Ao Hengxing. He was the Ao race's great enemy, and the old ancestor actually wanted him to be the Ao race's patriarch? Practically all the Ao race's disciples could not accept it. This fellow is not bad. Gu Fei, who was at the side, could not help but nod to himself. This Ao race's old ancestor's breadth of mind and insight were not something the other Ao race's disciples could compare to. Even Ao who was stunned when he heard that. How about it? Ao Tsangming asked indifferently as he looked at Aohu. Not interested. Aohu directly rejected. He quickly understood Ao Tsangming's intentions. Aohu wanted to tie him to the Ao race's war chariot. This way, the Ao race's lost strength would be replenished, and the Ao race would be even stronger than before. Everyone was stunned again. In their opinion, becoming the Ao race's patriarch was the dream of all the Ao race's disciples. However, Aohu rejected it. Then what do you want? An elder of the Ao race stared at Aohu and said coldly, Nothing much. I just want to retrieve my parents' belongings. Aohu said coolly. That's it. Ao Tsangming felt very surprised when he heard that. Actually, no one expected that Aohu had returned for his parents' belongings and not to take revenge on the Ao race. One had to know that the Ao tribe had gone too far before. Hand over my mother's flying phoenix sword. Aohu stared at Ao Tsangming with a grave expression. He tightened his grip on the black dragon saber. He had already severed all ties with the Ao clan. He only wanted his parents' belongings back. The black dragon blade and the flying phoenix sword were the weapons that Aohu's parents had used when they were alive. They were both high-grade celestial artifacts and were very powerful. That was why the Ao clan had kept these 2 celestial artifacts and chased Aohu out of Stone Ox Town. These 2 immortal artifacts are the clan-protecting immortal artifacts of my Ao race. You do not have the right to take them away. Aoyu said sternly. That's right. Return the black dragon blade and get the hell out of Stone Ox Town. An elder of the Ao race shouted at Aohu. Haha, what a joke. Do you think I don't know the origins of these 2 celestial artifacts? It's fine if you hand them over obediently. Otherwise, humph. As Aohu said that, a chilling, killing intent spread out from his body. Old ancestor. At that moment, all the disciples of the Ao race looked at Ao Tsangming. In the entire Ao race, only Ao Tsangming was Aohu's match. Ao Tsangming looked deeply at Aohu. Then, he waved his right hand in the direction of the ancestral temple. A sharp sword light immediately soared into the sky from the ancestral temple and flew towards him. When the sword light flew to Ao Tsaming's side, Ao Tsaming extended his right hand and grabbed it. In the next moment, the sword light disappeared, and a sword appeared in his hand. Ao Tsaming immediately tossed the sword in his hand to Ao Hu. Ao Hu reached out and caught it. Then, he turned around and waved at Gu Fei before leaving. He had no intention of entering Stone Ox Town to participate in the ancestral worship ceremony. This fellow, countless disciples of the Ao race were filled with grief and indignation. Were they going to let Ao Hu off just like that? No one in the entire Ao race dared to attack Ao Hu, not even the old ancestor. Ao Tsaming noticed the black-clad youth who came with Ao Hu. He did not choose to back down for no reason. He simply could not make out the black-clad youth's strength. Soon, Ao Tsaming led the group of Ao race disciples in the direction of the ancestral temple. The ancestral worship ceremony continued. Gu Fei and Ao Hu, on the other hand, left Stony Ox Town. A small place like this could no longer keep Ao Hu, a flood dragon. He needed a bigger world. Giant Wolf City was one of the few ancient cities in the eastern wilderness. Giant Wolf City was the Lin clan's world. The Lin clan grasped a method to control savage beasts. The Lin clan's current clan leader was especially difficult to deal with. By the time Gu Fei and Ao Hu arrived at Giant Wolf City, it was already dusk of the next day. The eastern wilderness lived up to its reputation. Most of the places in this vast region were uninhabited. Exuberant human auras came from Giant Wolf City, as well as the auras of other life forms. Among the countless auras, there were a few exceptionally strong auras. Come, let's go in and take a look. Gu Fei waved his hand and strode towards the city gates. He had finally found a city, so he naturally wanted to stay in the city for a few days. Ao Hu hurriedly followed him. Giant Wolf City did not seem very lively from the outside. However, when Gu Fei entered the city, he discovered that the streets were bustling with people. Shops lined both sides of the streets. Some sold items for mortals, but most of them sold magic tools that only cultivators could use. Just as Gu Fei and Ao Hu were looking around, the sound of hooves suddenly came from the other side of the street. A group of men in beast skins charged towards Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Why? 5b4? One of them was an impressive-looking man in his 30s. This man had no intention of stopping. Very soon, he was in front of Gu Fei. If it had been an ordinary person, this collision would definitely have killed him. Scram! The man on the horse only roared. Oomph! Just as he was about to collide with Gu Fei, a fist came from the side and hit the horse's head hard. Bam! The horse's head suddenly exploded and turned into a mist of blood. The man on the horse was sent flying and smashed into the wall on the side of the street before falling to the ground. What? Seeing this scene, everyone on the street was shocked to the extreme. Kill them. The man stood up from the ground. He wasn't injured, so he shouted at his men. Yes, young master. A dozen burly men in beast skins immediately surrounded Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Humph. Chapter 39:28. Giant Wolf City was one of the few cities in the eastern wilderness. It was one of the cities under the Black Water Supreme King. The Lin family in the city had submitted to the Black Water Supreme King and managed the eastern wilderness for him. The Black Water Supreme King was one of the 12 Supreme Kings in the eastern region. He controlled a large area, but the eastern wilderness was even larger. The Black Water Supreme King could only control a small part of the eastern wilderness. The other parts of the eastern wilderness were controlled by other Supreme Kings. The city lord of Giant Wolf City was the current family head of the Lin family. He was an extremely powerful half-saint. He had once barged into the territory of the eastern wilderness by himself and captured a moon-howling celestial wolf. B68 his steed. The moon-howling celestial wolf was not a weak race. An adult moon-howling celestial wolf was comparable to a sage. Of course, the moon-howling celestial wolf that the Lin family head had subdued wasn't an adult howling celestial wolf. Even so, it took the Lin family head a lot of effort to subdue the moon-howling celestial wolf. Meanwhile, on the streets of Giant Wolf City, A group of experts under the Lin family young master Lin Fan jumped down from their horses and surrounded Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Kill them! The Lin family young master Lin Fan ordered murderously. These two fellows actually dared to block his way. They deserve to die. Yes, young master. The middle-aged man in the lead immediately drew his broadsword and slashed at Gu Fei without any hesitation. It was as if he viewed human life as worthless. The middle-aged man's cultivation wasn't low either. The blade in his hand emitted an extremely sharp blade aura. The blade slashed out and seemed to split the void in half. In terms of strength, speed, and aura, this blade was enough to kill an ordinary immortal. However, Gu Fei wasn't an immortal. He shook his head helplessly and pointed with a finger. Crack! The blade in the middle-aged man's hand broke into two. The broken blade flew away and blood flowed from the hand that held it. What? The middle-aged man was shocked and immediately retreated. Gu Fei didn't continue to attack. He didn't want to attack such an ant-like fellow. However, this fellow didn't have eyes and actually attacked him. Gu Fei had subdued these guys the moment he made a move to shatter the god blade with a flick of his finger. The others hurriedly retreated, but two guys were unlucky. Ao Hu punched them in the chest and kicked them in the head. They died on the street. Everyone was shocked. You dare to kill people in the streets of my giant wolf city? The young lord of Giant Wolf City, Lin Fan, was both shocked and enraged. However, he was no fool. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today, and a very hard one at that. Giant Wolf City? Ao Hu smirked in disdain. His cultivation was successful, and his body had become a god. His battle prowess was so strong that he was almost invincible among those of the same cultivation level. He could even put up a fight against experts of the immortal Dao who had reached the immortal god stage. This so-called young lord of Giant Wolf City was only a mid-level immortal god, and he could kill this good-for-nothing with a single punch. The lord of Giant Wolf City, Lin Jindong, was a half-saint, and his son was only an immortal god. Like father, like son. If Lin Fan wasn't the only son of the lord of Giant Wolf City, he wouldn't have dared to act like a tyrant in Giant Wolf City. It was precisely because he had the backing of the lord of Giant Wolf City that others feared him. Brother, I didn't think that you're also a hidden expert. Ao Hu at this time? 1C84? He realized that Gu Fei wasn't as simple as he seemed. This brother of his seemed to have some sort of background. Could you be a descendant of some great sect or clan that came to the eastern wilderness to train? Ao Hu sized up Gu Fei and said, as if this was the first time he met Gu Fei. You're thinking too much. Gu Fei shook his head with a bitter smile. They were talking among themselves, completely ignoring Lin Fan. This almost drove Lin Fan crazy. In Giant Wolf City, who dared to ignore him? Damn it! Lin Fan roared. He was so embarrassed that he flew into a rage. He directly slapped a beast's skin bag on his waist. In the next moment, a gust of black chi rushed out from the bag and shrouded Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Within the black chi, there were actually countless shadows of strange snakes that made one's hair stand on end. Poisonous chi? Gu Fei frowned at the sight of the black chi. This guy actually dared to use such a vicious mystic art in the city. He simply didn't care about the lives of others. Gu Fei's guess was right. This young lord of Giant Wolf City really didn't care about the lives of others in the city. As long as he could kill Gu Fei and Ao Hu, it didn't matter to him even if a few more people died. Oomph! Ao Hu sneered and then opened his mouth to take a deep breath. His chest and abdomen immediately swelled up. Then, he opened his mouth and the black chi that shrouded the city was immediately blown towards Lin Fan by a gust of wind. What? Lin Fan's shock was no small matter as he hurriedly retreated backwards to avoid the fog that was flying back at him. However, his subordinates couldn't dodge in time and were instantly enveloped by the black chi. In the next moment, those cultivators who were enveloped by the black chi didn't even have time to scream before they turned into skeletons. Seeing this scene, Lin Fan's subordinates' expressions changed and they hurriedly ran away. Even Lin Fan himself was very afraid of this black chi. Who the hell are you people? Lin Fan roared at Gu Fei and Ao Hu. At the same time, he slapped the beast's skin bag on his waist. Chapter 39-29. just as Gu Fei and Ao, who appeared in Giant Wolf City, a small city in the eastern wilderness of the ancestral realm, the Shooting Sun Supreme, Thunder Path Supreme, and the others were in a gloomy mood in the southern region. Master has disappeared for more than 10 years. Why isn't he back yet? We can't hold on for much longer. The voice of the Black Wind Supreme was heard from a shrine in the sky above the sacred ground. This was the place of Supreme Ziyang, the sacred ground of the Purple Sun sect. The scenery here was picturesque and celestial mist lingered. In the sacred ground, various celestial beasts could be seen flying and various celestial beasts could be seen moving about. Although the Purple Sun sacred ground was peaceful, the cultivators in the Purple Sun sacred ground all had solemn expressions. 16D0 It was as if something big was about to happen. Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Another voice was heard in the shrine. At this moment, within the sacred palace, the throne at the center was empty, while the seats on the two sides of the throne were occupied by the 6 great supreme beings. Every single supreme being had a dignified aura, and every single supreme being was an unparalleled existence that overlooked millions and millions of living beings. However, at this moment, the 6 great supreme beings were extremely restless. That was because they were facing a great danger. The 6 supremes were the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others. Ziyang, what did you say? Do you want to fight? The Black Wind Supreme's voice was heard. He was a supremes, yet he was being called a coward? How could this be? This was simply a disgrace. If news of this were to spread, he would no longer be able to stay in the ancestral realm. If you want to fight, let's fight. Do you think I'm afraid of a coward like you? The figure surrounded by purple mist said coldly. Damn it! The Black Wind Supreme was furious. He stood up abruptly, and a chilling, murderous aura immediately spread from his body. The temperature in the shrine immediately dropped rapidly. Just as the 2 supremes were about to fight, the Shooting Sun Supreme, who had been resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. The moment the Shooting Sun Supreme opened his eyes, it was as if 2 bolts of lightning flashed in the shrine. Enough! The Shooting Sun Supreme said calmly. The Black Wind Supreme and Ziyang Supreme were stunned and sat back down obediently. Actually, we can predict when Master will return. We just need to help Master defend the foundation that Master has built. The Shooting Sun Supreme continued. Boss is right. Black Wind Sovereign hurriedly said. Supreme Ziyang sneered and looked at Supreme Black Wind in disdain, but he didn't say anything. However, the Li clan, the Chu clan, and the Tian clan are closing in step by step. The area we can control is getting smaller and smaller. The Lightning Dao Sovereign said worriedly. The foundation that Gu Fei laid down was constantly nibbled away by the Li clan and the other 2 great powers. In the past decade or so, the territory controlled by the 6 great supremes had shrunk by 2/3. Moreover, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others could only watch helplessly as the 3 great forces devoured their master's territory. Humph! Let those fellows be happy for a while. When Master returns, they will know how pathetic they are. Sovereign Tianfeng sneered. Based on Master's personality, he would definitely make whoever dared to touch his things pay back tenfold. Once Master returns, the 3 great clans would be in trouble. Gu Fei wasn't a soft-hearted person. Back then, he had killed so many people in the southern region that even the Wood clan, one of the 5 elements divine clans, was annihilated by him. Sovereign Tianfeng started to pray for the 3 great clans at the thought of Gu Fei's strength. If we can't defend it, we will give up. When Master returns, the southern region will be ours again. The Shooting Sun Supreme pondered for a long time before saying this. The other supremes were unwilling, but the 3 great forces were unstoppable. Who would dare to go against the 3 great clans? That would definitely be courting death. Boom! Just as the 6 supremes were discussing, a loud noise was heard from outside. Then, the entire sacred hall started to shake. The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were shocked and rushed out to take a look. All they saw was a huge hand descending from the sky and enveloping the entire Purple Sun sacred ground. It was as if it wanted to grab the entire Purple Sun sacred ground. A terrifying wave of power descended from the huge hand. Even the shooting Sun Supreme and the Thunder Tao Supreme felt their hearts palpitate. This was a supreme martial artist at the peak of the extreme Tao. Young Shooting Sun, you have 3 days to submit to my clan. Otherwise, all of you will be annihilated. A loud voice was heard from the sky. Roar. At that moment, a deep roar was heard from a valley in the purple sun's sacred ground. As this roar was heard, the entire sky and earth started to shake. Then, the huge hand that enveloped the entire purple sun's sacred ground quickly retracted and disappeared into the depths of the sky. The terrifying divine might that shocked the heavens also retreated like the tide. In the valley of the purple sun's sacred ground, a wild beast that was bigger than a mountain was taking a nap. Who is that? The Thunder Tao Supreme stared at the figure that disappeared into the distance and asked. The Chu clan leader, Chu Xingtian. The Shooting Sun Supreme said solemnly. Chu Xingtian? The Black Wind Supreme and the others were shocked when they heard this. Chu Huangji of the Chu clan had been slapped to death by Gu Fei in the past. The Chu clan and Gu Fei had a great feud. The death of a supreme being was a great loss to any force. Otherwise, Old Monster Chu would not have made a move and fought with Gu Fei. The Chu clan was a superforce that had a supremacy overseeing it. Old Monster Chu had been defeated by Gu Fei in the past. The Chu clan could not do anything to Gu Fei, but they could easily obliterate them. The Chu clan leader had personally issued an ultimatum. This made the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others feel immense pressure. 3 more days, the 6 supremacies fell silent. They would not be a match for Chu Xingtian even if Old Monster Chu did not make a move. However, they still had the Star Beast. Humph, what are you afraid of? Unless the Chu clan invades us and wants us to submit? Dream on. The Black Wind Supreme gritted his teeth and said. At this time, Gu Fei was still in the Eastern Domain, cultivating in the secular world. His cultivation base was in a mysterious state. He was originally about to surpass the extreme Tao, but this step was too difficult. 111C? His cultivation base was very unstable. Sometimes he was invincible, surpassing all Taos and invincible in the primogenitor's realm. However, sometimes his invincible eternal realm cultivation base would disappear completely, and he could not use any remarkable skills. However, even if his cultivation base disappeared, it did not matter. His physical body was truly the eternal sacred body. It was eternal and indestructible. Even a supremacy could not destroy him. Gu Fei discovered that his cultivation base was very unstable, so he decided to enter the world to cultivate and hone his state of mind. After more than 10 years, his cultivation base had stabilized a lot. However, it was still far from being completely stable. Young master of Giant Wolf City? He's like an ant. At this moment, Ao Hu lifted Lin Fan up and remarked in disdain, How dare you? At this moment, an angry shout came from the direction of the city lord's mansion. Following that, a figure rushed out from the city lord's mansion. With a single step, he arrived above Gu Fei and Ao Hu and looked down at them from above. The city lord is here. Chapter 39:30. Eastern Domain, Eastern Wilderness. In the Giant Wolf City, the city lord of Giant Wolf City stepped on the sky and looked down at Gu Fei and Ao Hu. How dare a little ant be presumptuous in my Giant Wolf City? You're courting death. A majestic voice came down from the sky. Father, save me. At this time, Lin Fan, the young city lord of Giant Wolf City, saw his father coming and quickly shouted, Trash, I, Lin Xiaotian, have been a hero all my life. How could I give birth to a fool like you? The city lord of Giant Wolf City said resentfully. His son was a bastard. He had been practicing for a long time, but he had only reached the immortal realm. Moreover, what made Lin Xiaotian's head hurt was that his son liked to make trouble everywhere. After that, he had to clean up his son's mess, which was really shameful. Father, save me first before we talk. Lin Fan cried anxiously. It was really shameful to be carried like a chicken in the hands of others in public. Why should I save you? Lin Xiaotian said angrily. Although he said so, Lin Fan was his only son after all, and he could not watch Lin Fan being humiliated by these guys. Want to save people? Ao Hu, who was carrying Lin Fan in one hand, suddenly grinned, and then pinched the back of Lin Fan's neck with his right hand. Crack! Lin Fan's neck was directly broken. Lin Fan's horrified expression froze on his face. He did not expect that this person would dare to kill him. When Lin Xiaotian saw this scene in the sky, his eyes suddenly turned red, and his hands trembled with anger. Although Lin Fan was not a big deal, he was his son after all. At this time, the people around watching the show were also shocked. That was the next city lord of Giant Wolf City. How could he die like this? Go to hell. Lin Xiaotian was stunned for a moment, but he immediately came back to his senses and directly slapped Gu Fei and Ao Hu below. Boom! A huge beast claw fell from the sky. Boom! It directly slapped Gu Fei and Ao Hu into the ground. Dust? B68? A huge palm print appeared on the ground. The attack of a half-step saint shook the entire Giant Wolf City. Although Lin Xiaotian was furious, he still had some scruples and tried to control his strength. Otherwise, half of the Giant Wolf City would be destroyed under one blow. Just when Lin Xiaotian thought that he had killed Gu Fei and Ao Hu, the handprint on the ground suddenly exploded. A figure rose into the sky and punched Lin Xiaotian. This person was actually Ao Hu. Ao Hu was only an immortal god. No matter how heaven-defying his physique was or how heaven-defying his cultivation method was, it was impossible for him to fight a half-saint with his early-stage immortal god cultivation base. One should know that there was a huge gap between an immortal and a half-saint. However, Ao Hu had done that. So what if you're a half-saint? Your daddy will kill you with a single punch. The violent fist energy turned into a gray dragon, like an earth dragon rising to the sky, and slammed into Lin Xiaotian's body, directly blasting Lin Xiaotian into a cloud of blood mist. What? The other cultivators in the Giant Wolf City were shocked when they saw this scene. How could the invincible city lord be smashed into pieces by a single punch? Even Ao Hu himself could not believe that he could smash the city lord into pieces with a single punch. Giant Wolf City was one of the few cities in the eastern wilderness. With Giant Wolf City as the center, the surrounding area was under its rule. Even Stone Ox Town was under the rule of Giant Wolf City. Every year, the Ao tribe of Stone Ox Town would prepare tribute and send people to Giant Wolf City with various cultivation resources to pay tribute to the city lord. At this moment, the cloud of blood mist in the air instantly gathered together and a figure appeared in the void. After all, the city lord of Giant Wolf City was a half-saint. He would not be killed so easily. Soon, he reformed his body and reformed his half-saint divine body. Go, he's no match for you. Just when Ao Hu was a little hesitant, a voice suddenly sounded in his heart. A figure walked out of the big pit in the street step by step. Kill. Ao Hu immediately rushed towards Lin Xiaotian, as if his whole body was full of power and he could punch through the whole sky with one punch. An incredible scene appeared. They saw Ao Hu smash Lin Xiaotian into pieces with another punch, which shocked all the cultivators watching the battle. The dignified city lord of Giant Wolf City, a half-saint, was actually so weak? At this time, a powerful wave of power came out of Ao Hu's body, shaking the earth and making countless cultivators in Giant Wolf City frightened. Roar! Just when Lin Xiaotian was suppressed by Ao Hu with his own strength, the roar of a savage beast suddenly came from the city lord's mansion. The next moment, a silver divine light rushed out of the city lord's mansion. B68? When it came close, a moon-howling heavenly wolf appeared in the divine light. This heavenly wolf was covered with silver hair, without a single strand of mixed hair, especially the pair of silver wings on the back of this heavenly wolf. The two silver wings on the back of the moon-howling heavenly wolf burst out with an extremely strong power. Get lost! Ao Hu roared angrily and punched out. No one would have thought that the moon-howling heavenly wolf would be directly punched back by Ao Hu, and a few drops of crystal blood dripped in the air. Blocked by the moon-howling heavenly wolf, the city lord of Giant Wolf City took the opportunity to retreat and successfully pulled away from Gu Fei. At the same time, Ao Hu stepped on the void and instantly caught up with the moon-howling heavenly wolf. He directly tore off the two wings on the back of the moon-howling heavenly wolf. Roar! The moon-howling heavenly wolf roared and fell directly from the sky. Ao Hu's combat power was unparalleled. All of this was the masterpiece of Gu Fei. His cultivation was in the realm beyond the extreme way, and he was almost omnipotent. He casually added a force to Ao Hu's body. Otherwise, Ao Hu would not be Lin Xiaoyan's opponent at all. Without any suspense, Ao Hu directly punched 9 times, and each punch blasted Lin Xiaoyan. After 9 punches, Lin Xiaoyan was directly destroyed. Run. Seeing this, the moon-howling heavenly wolf was scared out of his wits and turned to flee. Humph! Can you escape? Ao Hu ran the mysterious skill, and the power of the earth emerged in his body, condensed, and a fierce tiger phantom rushed out of his body and rushed towards the moon-howling heavenly wolf. The fierce tiger went down the mountain, unstoppable, and suddenly threw the moon-howling heavenly wolf to the ground and directly tore it into pieces. However, just as Ao Hu killed Lin Xiaoyan, a voice sounded from the city lord's mansion and then spread throughout the entire giant wolf city. The next moment, a ferocious and powerful beast rushed out from the surroundings of the giant wolf city. There was no one on the streets, and fierce beasts rushed out of the streets and alleys. Soon, the sky above the giant wolf city was full of all kinds of fierce beasts. Whoosh! A golden shadow rushed from the distance and directly pounced on Gu Fei and Ao Hu. Oh no! Ao Hu suddenly thought of something and his face changed. Sound of imperial beast? Gu Fei frowned. At this time, the invincible superpower in his body was quickly disappearing. His cultivation was unstable, and he was soon beaten back to his original state. However, he had the eternal, immortal body. Even if the invincible cultivation disappeared, no one could kill him. Gu Fei sighed helplessly and shook his head. Although he had taken that step and his body had transformed into the eternal immortal body, the supernatural power and great technique of the super realm would suddenly disappear. Fortunately, he had added a force to Ao Hu's body in advance, 16D0. Otherwise, Gu Fei might be fine, but Ao Hu would definitely fall under the attack of the beast group. At this time, countless ferocious birds were already lunging at Ao Hu and Gu Fei. At the same time, the fierce beasts rushed out of the street and rushed towards Gu Fei and Ao Hu at the same time. Haha, perfect timing. Earth Dragon's ultimate slash. Ao Hu roared into the sky. An endless amount of earth elemental energy exploded from his body like a flash flood, forming 9 silhouettes of dragons that soared into the sky and pounced towards the beasts. In the next moment, countless beasts were torn to pieces by the 9 silhouettes of the earth elemental energy. Blood rained down from the sky. The countless savage beasts that were charging over were sent flying by the vast and mighty earth elemental power. Then, they exploded in the air, turning into a mist of blood. Seeing this, the cultivators in the city were dumbfounded. Who is this guy? How can he be so violent? No one knew where Ao Hu came from. The sudden appearance of this powerful cultivator shocked the entire city. Even the city lord was not a match for him and was killed by this fellow. Even the Lin clan's army of savage beasts was defeated by the other party. Who are you? Why are you killing my clan's disciples? At this moment, an old and solemn voice came from the back of the city lord's mansion. Then, a holy power spread out from the city lord's mansion, covering a radius of thousands of miles. Countless cultivators were terrified to the extreme. Saint? Gu Fei looked in the direction of the city lord's mansion. Unexpectedly, there was a saint in this small city. It seemed that this small city was not as simple as it looked on the surface. In a barren place like the eastern wilderness, where birds don't shit, how could a saint cultivate here? The spiritual chi of heaven and earth here could not meet the needs of a saint at all. Brother, at this time, Ao Hu only felt that his soul was trembling. This was the real power of a saint, which was not comparable to Lin Xiaoyan, a half-saint. With the blessing of Gu Fei's power, Ao Hu could kill a half-saint, but in the face of a saint, he was absolutely no match. I'll go and have a look. As Gu Fei spoke, he took a step forward. The ground under his feet immediately exploded, and he disappeared in an instant. His speed was extremely fast. At this time, Gu Fei's cultivation seemed to have disappeared, leaving only the powerful eternal immortal body. However, the power of his eternal immortal body was absolutely enough to shock the world. Boom! Chapter 39-31. The appearance of a saint in gigantic wolf city shook the entire eastern wilderness. Countless eyes turned to look at gigantic wolf city. That old wolf is still alive? An old voice came from an ancient city thousands of miles away from gigantic wolf city. Heishui still has this trick up his sleeve. A man in black walked out of a valley shrouded in black mist in the eastern wilderness. He looked up in the direction of gigantic wolf city. All the big shots hiding in the eastern wilderness were alarmed the moment gigantic wolf city's saintly might appeared. At this time, a figure slowly walked towards the entrance of the giant wolf city's city lord mansion. Wherever this figure passed, there would be a huge crowd. 16D0 The beasts bowed their heads. The young man walked up to the tightly shut gates of the city lord's residence and gave it a gentle push. The heavy gates exploded right away, turning into countless fragments that flew inside. In the next moment, there was a flash of blood as the ferocious beasts were pierced by the fragments. They did not even have time to roar before they died. The young man in black who had broken the gates was none other than Gu Fei. His cultivation was in a mysterious state, and all his invincible supreme magics and great techniques seemed to have disappeared. He could not use them at all, and all he had was strength. This made Gu Fei extremely depressed. However, he still had the invincible, eternal, indestructible body, which made his physical strength extremely strong. Every move he made was filled with unimaginable power. What was the use of supreme magics and great techniques? As long as one was strong enough, one could crush everything. If one's physical strength could exceed the extreme path, one could crush everything as well. Boom! At that moment, a surge of saintly path power surged out from the city lord's residence. The countless beasts lying on the ground all exploded into a bloody mist, which condensed into a blood dragon that pounced on Gu Fei, who was walking in step by step. Gu Fei smiled and raised his right hand in a seemingly casual manner. Bam! The blood dragon collided with his hand. In the next moment, the dragon's head exploded, followed by its body, all the way from head to tail. The entire blood dragon collapsed in the void just like that. At this moment, a figure walked out of the city lord mansion. Gu Fei looked up and saw that it was an old man with a wooden staff in his hand. He walked unsteadily, as if he could fall at any time. Behind the old man, there were more than a dozen people, all of them emitting an incomparably tyrannical aura. These people all stared at Gu Fei in shock and anger. "Who are you? Has my Lin family ever offended you?" A middle-aged man behind the old man stared at Gu Fei and gritted his teeth. "You want to kill me, so I can only kill you. That's all." Gu Fei glanced at them indifferently and said, "What?" The higher-ups of the Lin family were all dumbfounded. To Gu Fei, this method of handling matters was simple and direct. There was no need for any crafty plots or schemes, and he didn't care what schemes the other party had. "No matter how smart you are or how heaven-defying your schemes are, I will kill you with a single sword strike." "Sir, is there some misunderstanding between us? Who in all of Giant Wolf City can threaten you?" The old man's voice was very old, but there was an indescribable majesty to it. The city lord of Giant Wolf City was actually a puppet. The true ruler of Giant Wolf City was probably this old man. At the old man's waist was something similar to a flute. Misunderstanding? Gu Fei smiled, not wanting to say more. "Brother." At this moment, Ao who finally caught up to Gu Fei. "It's you?" At this moment, a purple-clothed youth behind the old man suddenly pointed at Ao who behind Gu Fei and exclaimed, "Aoer, you know him?" The higher-ups of Giant Wolf City looked at the purple-robed youth in bewilderment. Reporting to the ancestor, this person is an abandoned child of the Ao tribe in Stoneball Town. His name is Ao Hu. He was the one who caused a ruckus at the Ao tribe's ancestral worship ceremony, Lin Ao hurriedly said. He had been at Stoneball Village that day, and he had witnessed the scene of Ao Hu forcing the entire Ao tribe to bow down to him. On the other hand, Gu Fei was standing to the side. The purple-robed youth didn't pay much attention to Gu Fei. So there was such a thing? The higher-ups of Giant Wolf City couldn't help but be shocked. They had only just learned of this matter. The ancestral worship ceremony at Stoneball Town was nothing more than a trifle to them. Lin Ao hadn't told the elders what had happened at Stoneball Town. "Sir, how about we stop here?" The old man stared at Gu Fei. "Stop? How could it be so easy?" Before Gu Fei could say anything, Ao Hu had already rushed to speak. "What do you want in order to stop?" The old man didn't even look at Ao Hu. In his eyes, there was only Gu Fei. Ao Hu? He was just an ant. Kill. Gu Fei didn't want to waste time with these people. The world of cultivation was a dog-eat-dog world. If it had been someone else, wouldn't they have died in vain in Giant Wolf City? Moreover, this guy had just attacked him with murderous intent. "Sir, don't go too far." The old man's expression changed. He couldn't see through Gu Fei's strength, so he was a bit afraid. However, if Gu Fei really wanted to fight, he wouldn't back down. Of course, if the Lin clan's old ancestor knew who he was facing, he would have been paralyzed with fear. He wouldn't have dared to resist. "If you can take one of my punches, I'll let you go." Gu Fei stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Although there were no fluctuations of power coming from his body, he was like an insurmountable mountain, giving off a suffocating pressure. "Really?" The Lin clan's old ancestor's eyes lit up. "How could my brother's words be false?" Ao Hu glanced at the higher-ups of the Lin clan disdainfully. "All right." The Lin clan's old ancestor nodded. Then, the higher-ups of the Lin clan behind the Lin clan's old ancestor hurriedly retreated. Gu Fei took a step forward and punched forward, just like an ordinary person punching. There was no fluctuation of power, no magic or great technique. It was just an ordinary punch. However, in the eyes of the Lin clan's old ancestor, this punch was invincible. Couldn't it be avoided? 16D0? He couldn't block it. He could only watch the punch hit him. This was a punch that surpassed the extreme path, transcending all Taoism and Dharma. It was so simple, but even a saint couldn't avoid it or block it. Then, the Lin clan's old ancestor, who was hit by the punch, turned into a cloud of blood mist without a sound. Everything on his body collapsed into dust, and even his spirit was annihilated in the void. The whole place was silent, and everyone was stunned. Chapter 39-32. In the eastern wilderness, in Giant Wolf City, Gu Fei killed a saint with a single punch, shocking everyone. The higher-ups of the Lin clan were dumbfounded. They could not believe what they were seeing. How was this possible? Their ancestor was killed by this guy with a single punch? The ancestor of the Lin clan in Giant Wolf City was a saint. In a wild place like the eastern wilderness, a saint was already an overlord of a region. But now, the saint of the Lin clan had fallen. He was killed by a mysterious black-robed young man of unknown origin with a single punch. What's going on? Why did the old wolf's aura suddenly disappear? Some of the cultivators who had just arrived near Giant Wolf City were shocked. At this time, a black-robed man surrounded by black aura appeared in the distant sky. He walked through the air, and the moment he arrived, the temperature of the entire world dropped. And in another direction, an old man walked over slowly. Clouds and mist surged under his feet. There was a faint immortal light behind his head, and the aura of the immortal path was vast and mighty. It was the atmosphere of an immortal. Could it be that the old wolf of the Lin clan has fallen? The sage-like saint of the immortal path muttered to himself, and his expression became solemn. There were only two possibilities for the sudden disappearance of the extremely powerful saint aura of the Lin clan's ancestor. One was that he had been killed by someone, and the other was that he had sealed his own aura. At this time, in Giant Wolf City, the city lord's office was completely silent. Ao Hu was also stunned by the scene in front of him. His brother was so powerful that he could kill a saint with a single punch. This was too amazing. The higher-ups of the Lin clan, on the other hand, were horrified. Gu Fei did not use any divine sense or great skill at all. It was just a seemingly casual punch, but such a punch had destroyed their ancestor's body and soul. I can't even block a single punch. Gu Fei stood with his hands behind his back and sighed. Even if he could not use his divine path and great skills that surpassed the extreme path, He could easily kill a saint with just the power of his physical body. In fact, even a quasi-supreme might not be able to take a punch from him. Gu Fei had not met a quasi-supreme yet, but he was confident. 111C? Even if he encountered a supreme being, he would be able to rely on the strength of his physical body to put up a fight. He might not necessarily lose. The Lin clan is willing to serve you forever. Lin Juechen of the Lin clan greets Master. An elder of the Lin clan, who came to his senses, hurriedly knelt on the ground in fear and said to Gu Fei, trembling. He did not dare to look up at Gu Fei. The group of Lin clan elders behind Lin Juechen also woke up from their stupor. They immediately knelt on the ground and trembled. Even the old ancestor of the Lin clan was smashed into pieces by this black-clothed young man. How could the other elders of the Lin clan be a match for Gu Fei? If they didn't submit, they would die. Even if these elders of the Lin clan wanted to eat Gu Fei alive, they had to bow their heads now. Gu Fei didn't attack again. Even a saint couldn't take a punch from him, so these fellows who were kneeling and trembling in front of him didn't have the qualifications for him to attack. You handle it. After saying that, Gu Fei walked into the main hall of the city lord's mansion and went up to the throne in the middle of the hall. Then, he sat on the throne and closed his eyes to rest. Everyone was trembling with fear. All of you, get out of here. Don't disturb my big brother's rest. Ao who directly shouted at the senior members of the Lin clan, who were lying on the ground. Yes, yes, yes. Lin Juechen hurriedly responded, and then led the group of elders of the Lin clan to crawl on the ground. The elders of the Lin clan only dared to stand up after they crawled out of the city lord's mansion. Lin Juechen raised his hand and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He felt as if he had just escaped death. He felt that he and the others were not even comparable to ants in front of Gu Fei. So what if they were killed? Lin Juechen was very unhappy that his life and death were in the hands of the other party. This made him feel very helpless. He couldn't even control his own life and death. This was definitely an extremely sad thing. What did I see? What's going on? Aren't those the elders of the Lin clan? Usually, it's hard to even see them. Why did they all crawl out of the city lord's mansion today? At this time, all the cultivators of Giant Wolf City who saw this scene outside the city lord's mansion were shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. For the cultivators of Giant Wolf City, the elders of the Lin clan were all high and mighty existences. But now, these high and mighty peerless experts actually crawled out of the city lord's mansion. Could it be those two people? Those cultivators vaguely guessed something. The Lin clan was going to be in big trouble. Sure enough, the young man who killed the city lord on the street of Giant Wolf City walked out of the city lord's mansion. When the elders of the Lin clan saw that person, they directly knelt on the ground, looking very frightened. Isn't that Lin Juechen, the great elder of the Lin clan? He even knelt down? The cultivators outside the city lord's mansion recognized Lin Juechen. At this time, Ao who was very satisfied. He felt that he had already reached the peak of his life. He looked down at the elders of the Lin clan kneeling in front of him. Even he himself felt that this was extremely unreal. They had actually conquered Giant Wolf City with just the two of them. This was Giant Wolf City, not Stone Ox Town.